All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming out to the Planning and Zoning Board meeting today on April 6th. Technically, we are running a little bit behind. We had a little bit of a technical difficulties, but it's all good. We are recording live, and we are ready to go. So gonna go ahead and just acknowledge a couple things before we call into order. We we only have 4 members. I hear myself. That's why I'm sorry.
It's working.
Yeah. Just want to acknowledge before we call this meeting to order that unfortunately our chair and our mayor, Tim Martin, is not feeling well. As the co-chair, I will chair the meeting for today, and also want to acknowledge that member Polo is out of this meeting today. She's absent. So with that being said, anything that's a quasi judicial meeting, I just want to make everybody aware, when it's 4 voting members on the dais, if it is a split vote of 2-2, it'll go down as a denial to the commission. Now, just real quick, we are an advisory board. Just because something gets denied here does not mean anything other than it's our recommendation to the commission and they have a final say. I just want to make everybody aware that a 2-2 vote, that's how that gets split. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I believe Stacy is coming up to talk about our agenda before we get an approval.
Yes, good evening. Stacy Hectus with the Community Development Department. We have a few changes to the agenda that I want the audience to be made aware of, as well as the record. This evening, we're going to add a presentation from the FFA that are here, and that'll be right after the consent agenda. We're also adding new item number 1, which you're going to give me a second here to read it. So these 2 items that are going to be added were advertised, and so we can have them open and discussed tonight on the date and time certain that we're going to be changing the dates to. But the item is land development. New item number 1 for Newberry Ridge is Land Development Regulation LDR 2511, application LDR 2511, listed below, requests a zoning amendment for 1,250 residential homes called Newberry Ridge, from agriculture to planned residential development zoning district, FH Newberry LLC, and there's a few parcel numbers listed there. That item will be the new number 1 on the agenda. And the new item number 2 will be Land Development Regulation LDR 2426, application LDR 2426, listed below, requests a zoning amendment for 500 residential homes called Countryway 2, from agriculture to planned residential development zoning district. So those 2 items will be your new item number 1 and item number 2 on the agenda.
All right, so thank you very much, Stacy.
You're very welcome.
With that being said, board, do I have an approval of the agenda as spoken by Stacy?
Approved as spoken by Stacy.
I have a motion from Ms. Parker. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
I have a second from Ms. Carey. All right, any questions on the agenda? Any public questions on the agenda? All right, those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved the agenda, and we'll stand, everybody will stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Did the board have a chance to review the approval of the March 2nd Planning and Zoning Board minutes? And if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Not everybody speak at the same time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion from Carrie, a second from Thomas. Do we have any questions on that? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. All right, so we are going to go to new item number 1. And I believe Stacy's going to discuss that real or? Is this, okay.
All right.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry,
Oh,
that's
that's
right.
right.
I thought I was so confused.
Sorry. I did not, sorry, I read that wrong.
Times and homework,
Sorry, FFA, we do have a presentation. Thank you.
So this is the ag issues team for.
So if you could come up, make sure the green light is on when you're talking on the microphone. And then,
So this is the ag issues team for Newberry High School. So for this contest for Florida FFA, they have to highlight an issue that is relative to agriculture in their community, and then they discuss pros and cons. So they've come up with a forum script to represent different stakeholders that might address the question of how do we balance growth in agriculture and protect farmland while also managing Florida's rapid development. So I'll turn it over to them.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Christian Sems, and I am a representative for the University of Florida's IFAS Center for Land Use Efficiency. Our center works with farmers, communities, and policymakers across the state to help balance agricultural production with responsible land development. Tonight's issue is one that is becoming increasingly important, not just in Alachua County, but across the entire state of Florida. How can Florida continue to accommodate rapid population growth while protecting the farmland that supports our food supply, rural economy, and natural resources? Florida is currently one of the fastest growing states in the country. On average, nearly 1,000 new residents move to Florida every single day, and many of them are choosing communities just like Newberry. That growth brings economic opportunity, new homes, businesses, and infrastructure projects, support jobs, and strengthen local economies. But growth also creates pressure on our land. Since the 1950s, Florida has lost over 6 million across acres of farmland, and today the state continues to lose nearly 2,000 acres of agricultural land every week to development. Agriculture remains one of Florida's most important industries, contributing more than $150 billion annually to the state economy and supporting millions of jobs. So tonight we've gathered a panel of stakeholders to discuss the impacts of development on agriculture and explore how communities like Newberry can continue to grow while preserving the farmland that defines our regions. Let's begin with introductions. I'll begin with Mr. Pendarvis.
Thank you, Christian. My name is Audrey Pendarvis, and I work on a local farm here in our community. Every day, I help plant, maintain, and harvest crops that help feed families across Florida and across the country. Working in an agricultural field gives you a different perspective on our land. To us, farmland isn't just property, it's our livelihood. Florida produces a large portion of our winter's vegetables and remains a leading producer of crops like tomatoes, citrus, strawberries, and other specialty vegetables. But I've seen firsthand how quickly the land around us is changing. Fields that used to grow crops are turning into subdivisions and commercial developments as farmland disappears. Farmers are left producing more food on less hand. That's something that concerns a lot of folks in agriculture.
My name is Connor Bartley, and I'm here representing the Alachua County Commission. County governments play a major role in land use decisions. We help determine zoning policies, approve development projects, and work to ensure our communities grow in a way that benefits both residents and local industries. While development can create challenges for agriculture, it also creates opportunities. A growing population means increased demand for local food, farmers markets, agritourism, and agricultural businesses. Our goal as a county commission is to strike a balance, allowing communities to grow while ensuring agriculture remains a strong and sustainable part of Alachua County's future.
My name is James Harris, and I serve on the City Building Committee. Our committee works closely with city planners, engineers, and developers to review construction projects, including residential housing developments, businesses, and infrastructure improvements. As cities expand, we have to carefully consider where and how development takes place. Much of the land surrounding communities like Newberry is currently used for agriculture, which means our development decisions can directly affect farms and ranches. Our goal is to support responsible development that meets housing needs, while also considering the long-term impacts on agriculture, infrastructure, and community character.
My name is Matthew Rogers, and I'm here tonight representing the Office of State Representative Johnson. Representative Johnson represents Levy County along with parts of Alachua and Gilchrist County. Unfortunately, he could not attend tonight, but he asked that I share the work being done at the state level to support Florida agriculture. Representative Johnson comes from an agricultural background and understands how important farming and ranching are to our communities like ours. In Tallahassee, our offices focus on protecting property rights, supporting rural economies, and ensuring farmers are able to continue producing food for our state and our country.
Now that we've covered introductions, let's begin by discussing why this issue has become so important. Mr. Pendarvis, from a farmer's perspective, what changes have you seen?
Well, Christian, if you'd driven through here about 10 or 15 years ago, you would have seen fields for miles. Now it seems like every year there's another subdivision being built. The biggest challenge isn't just losing land, it's the conflicts that happen when farms and neighborhoods end up side by side. Agriculture doesn't run on a 9 to 5 schedule. Sometimes we're moving equipment early in the morning or late at night. We're spraying crops, running irrigation, and harvesting when weather conditions allow us. To farmers, that's just normal operations. But to new neighbors who have been moved from urban areas, those sounds, smells, and equipments can be very surprising.
And we see those conflicts firsthand. Our office regularly receives calls about tractors on the road, dust from the fields, fertilizer smells, or livestock escaping fences. For longtime residents, those things are similar to rural life, but newer residents may not always understand that agriculture comes with certain realities. That's why planning and zoning committees are so important to help set expectations for people moving to rural communities.
And that's exactly why the right to farm law exists. As communities grow, farms can face complaints or even lawsuits from neighbors who don't understand normal agricultural practices. But nuisance lawsuits can cause farmland to disappear, and when farmland disappears, we lose more than just open spaces. We lose family, businesses, supply chains, and the ability to produce food locally. The 2026 Farm Bill strengthened the protections of the right to farm law, ensuring farmers who follow accepted agricultural practices cannot be shut down simply because development moved nearby.
So the question becomes, how do we balance development with protecting agriculture? Commissioner Bartley, what challenges does the county face?
Well, realistically, people are still moving here. Florida adds nearly 1,000 new residents daily, and communities need housing, roads, schools, and infrastructure to support that growth. We can't simply stop development. What would we do? Turn people away?
I understand that. Nobody's saying stop building, but we should be more careful about where we build. Some of the most productive soil in Florida is right here in north central Florida. Once that land is paved over, it's gone forever.
That's a fair point, but development decisions are often based on more than just soil quality. Infrastructure access, flood risk, and transportation corridors all play a role in determining where communities expand. So part of the challenge is figuring out how to direct development toward land that's less valuable for agriculture.
And that's where state programs can help. Florida already supports conservation easements where farmers can be paid to keep their land in agriculture rather than selling it to developers. There's also discussion in the legislature about expanding agricultural opportunities, including a proposed bill that would allow cattle grazing on certain state-owned lands as a way to support ranchers while maintaining open landscapes.
So maybe this isn't agriculture versus development after all. Maybe it's about smarter planning. So let's shift towards solutions. What practical steps could help communities like Newberry grow while still protecting agriculture? Mr. Pendarvis?
I'll start off with protecting prime farmland. Florida is currently losing around 2,000 acres of farmland every week to development. Agriculture is in the state contributes about 150 annually to the economy, and once farmland is lost, it's almost impossible to replace. Protecting high-quality agricultural land should be a priority.
From a county planning perspective, we can encourage cluster housing developments. Research shows that clustered housing can reduce land consumption by 30 to 50% compared to a traditional suburban development. That means we can house the same number of people while preserving more farmland.
I'd also push for stronger buffer zones between agriculture, land, and residential areas. Tree lines, setbacks, and green spaces can reduce noise, dust, and odor complaints. At the same time, compact development reduces infrastructure costs for roads, water, and sewer systems. Smart development actually saves taxpayer money while protecting rural land.
At the state level, expanding conservation programs and strengthening the right to farm protections remains a priority. Programs that help farmers keep land and agriculture, protect jobs, support rural economies, and maintain our food supply. It's often cheaper to preserve farmland now than to deal with the consequences of losing it later.
So what I'm hearing is this: we can't stop growth, but we can grow smarter. Protect farmland, encourage compact development, and support farmers financially, and create policies that allow agriculture and development to coexist. Tonight's discussion highlighted several important perspectives. Florida's population will continue to grow and development will continue to occur, but agriculture remains one of the most important industries in our state. So before we wrap up, I'd like each of you to briefly share what you believe should be the top priority moving forward.
Keep farmland farming. Growth matters, but not at the expense of the land that feeds us.
Plan growth responsibly so agriculture can stay a lasting part in Newberry and Alachua County's future.
Build smarter, not just bigger, so development supports the community rather than replacing it.
Protect both jobs and agriculture so Florida's rural communities stay strong.
Thank you all for sharing your points of view. Tonight's discussion shows that growth and agriculture don't have to compete, but achieving that balance requires thoughtful planning, cooperation, and strong leadership. Thank you all for attending tonight's panel discussion. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, guys. I'll tell you what, I wrote a ton of stuff down because you had some very interesting points. And I want to just give a big shout out to, our teachers, FFA, what you guys are doing. I mean, this is our future, As I'm getting older, we're all getting older. This is who we're depending on to continuously preserve what we have. And, Ms. Thomas can say it, the history of Newberry is rich, and we want to make sure that we continuously keep that history of agriculture going and keep it alive. And how can we keep it alive? And you guys brought up some amazing points. Thank you for enlightening us and educating us the way you did tonight. So thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, before they leave, if I may.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic development that's happening in Newberry that I would invite you. I'm sure that Mr. Skipper, who I'm just going to say, Mr. Skipper's English teacher must have been an amazing teacher because you guys did fantastic. All right. But there is just a little greenhouse project that's happening here in Newberry. It's going to use 95% less land, 95% less water. And it's going to speak to a lot of the things that you guys brought up tonight. So when we get the governor here to do a groundbreaking ceremony, we'll make sure that you guys come back out and have the opportunity to learn all about that. But I echo just what the chair said. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you again, guys. The future's really bright with you guys. So, all right. With that,
And parents who drove them here, y'all are free to go as well if you.
all right, Stacy, let's try this again for you.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Goodness, no, it was my fault, sorry. All right, so Stacy Hectus, Community Development, your new item number 1, which is the Newberry Ridge application for LDR 25-11, was advertised for this meeting, and we sent letters and put up signs and so on, and what we're going to do this evening is make this item a date and time certain for another date and time. We're going to continue this item to a date and time certain. Ms. Carey, were you able to get a confirmation? Okay. Okay. So we were looking at April 23rd as that date and time certain at 6 p.m. here. Right now, we have 2 members that are able to make the meeting, and that's not a quorum. So we need one more. So the date and time certain, I'm not sure we can,
What about the 21st? Did we have 3 for the 21st?
We had-
The 22nd.
no, not the 22nd. We had 3 for the 21st.
Okay, then I think we have to move forward with the 21st.
Okay. All right. April 21st. So
I'll
we're
send
going.
out personal reminders.
Yeah, so we're going to continue that item from the advertised, it was put in our Alachua County site. We're going to continue that item on Newberry Ridge for the land development LDR 2511 to April 21st at 6 p.m. So for those in the audience that want to hear that item regarding Newberry Ridge LDR 2511, please come back on the special meeting, the Planning and Zoning special meeting on April 21st at 6 p.m.
One
So-
question, Stacy.
Yes.
Is the applicant, is that date and time, does that work for them?
This,
We will need to ask before the board votes to make sure that they're, they're
If
able
it's
to be
not,
present.
doesn't work for them, then we're right close to the May 4th meeting. So
Right.
if it
Okay.
doesn't work for them, I think we just have to, so, there.
Are you Newberry Ridge? Yes, hi. Would that work for you for a special meeting? Okay.
There you have one. All
So
right.
we have Newberry Ridge, that would work for them on
April 21st.
April 21st,
6 p.m.
6 p.m. here, same location.
Stacy, are we still doing number 4 related to Newberry Ridge on the
Yes,
agenda?
the land use change, yes, not the rezoning. So you all have to vote on that.
So you need a motion from us to go ahead
Yes.
to,
Date and time certain that item.
so do I have a motion?
Second.
All right, so I got a motion from Ms. Carey, from Board Member Carey, and a second from Board Member Parker. Is there any questions on the motion? Any, can I get public questions? Any public questions on that motion, moving it? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it on moving it to April 21st at 6 p.m. here. All right, item number 2.
New item number 2 is the Land Development Regulation LDR 2426 application listed as a zoning amendment for 500 residential homes called Countryway 2 from agriculture to planned residential development zoning district. Same situation with that item. We are wanting to date and time certain that to a special PZB meeting on April 21st at 6 p.m. The applicant or the owner is here. Sorry, did 21st is good? Okay,
All right,
6 p.m.
Motion to accept the new.
all right. So we
Second.
got a motion from Board Member Carey, a second from Board Member Parker. Any questions on the motion? Any public questions on that motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. All right. So that is all the changes.
Yes, that is all the changes for this
We
meeting.
were successful.
Yes.
All right. So with that being said, we can go on to our other agenda items, which is we are going to be entering into a quasi judicial procedure. All right, this means that the commission will, or the commissioner or the dais will stop being a legislative body and will become a judicial board, which means that we have to follow certain rules and adhere to different standards of decision-making. The primary rule we must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when a judicial board makes a decision. This standard states the following. All public testimonies will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. And the giving of an opinion testimony is limited to experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. Now I'm going to ask the city attorney to read into the record the ordinance by title number. I guess, are we going to read all of them? Did you want to just read?
Actually, that step is not necessary for the Planning and Zoning Board anymore
Perfect.
because you're just hearing petitions.
Awesome. All right, so then I can go into the swearing in. Is that good? All right, so if anybody, whether you're an applicant, staff, any participants that are speaking on any of the items on the agenda, we're going to ask you all to stand so we can swear you guys in all together. So if you are speaking on any of these items, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's this one or any of the other items coming up. All right, I guess, can you go ahead and swear them in? Thank you.
Will do. I'm going to read a statement, and afterward, please affirm or say yes. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you will give into the record this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Very good.
All right, perfect. And then what we'll do is, as you come up, we ask that you just state your name for the record. That way we have names of people that were sworn in. All right, and then before we begin, I want to ask, and we need to disclose any ex parte communications, disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Ex parte communications are any conversations or transmission of information that may have any kind of bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. I'll start with Board Member Parker.
No.
Ms. Thomas? Carrie?
None.
And I've had none. I don't have to worry about you because you're not a voting member. I've had none. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and explain the order of the presentation that will follow for every quasi-judicial item before us tonight. Before I do that, no third-party interveners, correct? All right. So we can skip those. So the way the presentations work, we're going to have a staff overview. The applicant's going to go ahead and present their application if they have one. The staff is going to go ahead and give us a report and their recommendation. These two items have no time limit. Then we will go into a public comments. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. And public comments, you would address the chair for the questions. And then after that, the applicant may cross-examine depending on what they've heard. Staff may cross-examine after that, and then as members of members of the decision-making body through the chair may ask questions of the staff, applicants, or the participants. And then a final argument may be made by the applicant, the staff, related solely to the evidence and testimony presented at the hearing and introduced into the record. City Attorney, could you just advise us of the applicable law, or is that something that we don't have to worry about?
No, I can do that now.
Okay, perfect,
Yes,
thank you.
Board members, you need to make your decision based on the evidence that's before you, and whether that's verbal testimony or the written documents that are in your packet. You need to evaluate what's presented and base your decision on competent, substantial evidence.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. So knowing that, you will go into deliberation of the application, and then after deliberations, vote shall be taken to approve, approval conditions to continue, or to deny the application. And then with that being said, as I mentioned earlier, and we're in quasi-judicial, we are a 4-member board today, so a tie of a yay or nay vote will actually go down as a denial to the commission. But then again, we are an advisory board to the commission, so they are the ones that just will receive that recommendation that we do not approve it. But they can go ahead and make their own decision on that. They just highly depend on our work as the Planning and Zoning Board to determine what they want to see go forward. So with that being said, we can start number 2. I'm sorry, number 3. Switched it up.
Corrected number 3.
Yes.
Yes. Good evening again, Stacy Hectus with the Community Development Department. The first regular item on the agenda this evening is petition SDP 2601, which is a site and development plan for Life Soils Florida LLC. Maybe? Oop, too fast. It's very touchy, sorry. As the proposal, the recommendation, as you know, we put the recommendation slide up front so that you all have that in mind as you're going through the process, and then we put it back up for you all to have at the end for your vote. As the proposal is consistent with the intent of the LDRs, the Land Development Regulations, and the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board forward a favorable recommendation to the City Commission for Life Soils Florida LLC SDP 2601. So I wanted to give you an introduction, as many folks in the city staff are very well aware of this project because of the wastewater treatment facility planning that has been going on over the last 5 years, 6 years, 8 years. And so we had to be creative in finding some solutions on handling some of that waste. And so this is where I'm going to start is basically we have found that, and this is the application in front of you. So partnership with the city this partnership with Life Soils roughly 3 years ago, as we were doing the final stages of planning on our wastewater treatment facility. And this application is vital and is an integral part of the wastewater treatment facility and how we're going to be handling the biosolids. And actually became even more vital with the passage of Senate Bill 290, which imposes more stringent requirements on how we actually handle the biosolids that come off of the wastewater treatment facility. Wanted to give everybody a location map of where this is located. That main road adjacent to the color there is 337. This is before the curve that you see there, and the wastewater treatment facility will be kind of catty corner past that. This is the site and development plan for the folks in the audience. This is very hard to actually read. I think it was kind of probably hard for y'all to read without a full-size set. It is. This will be, the gray area will be the actual handling of the biosolids and the matter. And then you see on the side there's some parking spaces. They're going to have their weigh station, and their offices are going to be there. One thing I want to bring to your attention is because the wastewater treatment facility is still in the approval process as far as getting the funding to start, this will be coming online before that to start prepping for that. And so because of that, many of the utilities going to it right now will be temporary, but are geared and designed to connect as soon as those facilities are there. And as I said before, staff is recommending approval of this to the City Commission for the PZB to approve it, recommend approval. The applicant is actually here to discuss this, explain a little bit more about the process, and they have a little presentation that they can do as well. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to correct one thing. I don't think that the community development director knows it, but the agreement with the state was signed today, so the funding.
Oh,
went through,
okay.
so they'll still probably
This is-
beat us, but
Yeah.
it's going to be neck and neck.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Great.
Awesome.
It's good to know.
All right. Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
If the applicant has a presentation,
Yes.
we would love to see it.
Yeah, be very gentle with the buttons.
We went from a very difficult button to now
Oh.
it's 2 sentences. Yeah, you had to do it like over your head, behind the neck.
I think they're gearing it up right now because it's a PDF.
Right, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep, they just switched it.
So what, you just hit the button?
Yeah, you advance forward and advance back.
Okay.
Here we go, they're putting it on.
Hey, thank you.
So sorry, I should have sent it in the PowerPoint.
That's okay. We can manage it. We can manage it. Oh, there we go, look, it goes. Oh. I spoke too soon. There we go. All right, I'll turn that over to you, Ryan.
There you go. Hey, so my name is Ryan McMeekin. I'm with Life Soils Florida. Actually started a company back in 2015. Most of the work that we do has been in Central Florida and South Florida. We now have facilities in Austin, Texas, and also South Carolina. So excited that I'm a local resident to Newberry, so excited to potentially have the facility here local and develop Alachua County. So Life Soils, we are a composting company that utilizes, let's see, sorry guys. well, I'll stay on this page. We are a composting company that utilizes a inoculant called Harvest Quest that basically reverses the physics of composting. Typical composting, you're having to turn, where we utilize a biological package that when we introduce it into the windrow, it actually makes it where we don't have to turn and flip. It creates a very biologically active product, and which we call command. And that's why we call it's not compost, it's command. So command is a one of a kind organic soil amendment. We utilize it on sports fields, golf courses. If you watch any of the Gators games, all those fields are grown out of command. We also utilize it into landscapes to conserve water. That's our facility, one of our facilities in Sumter County. You can see the windrows. Obviously, this facility is a lot smaller than this. This is on about a 33-acre site, so it's large. And again, the microbes is really what makes us unique. Yeah, so with the microbes, we found with a lot of research through the University of Florida that we can suppress disease naturally. So instead of using harmful synthetics, we're utilizing our product to suppress these diseases. So like thatch reduction and nutrient uptake. So again, instead of using fertilizers, we're using this product, and you can see some of the pictures below. The one picture on the left is the University of Florida baseball stadium. It does have a nutrient content, all in organic form. So it has your NPKs, your phosphorus, your micronutrients, all not leachable from what we found with the University of Florida research. And again, just benefits of command. Suppresses nematodes. The water holding capacity is 6 times its own weight in water. It's very stable. We're a 9-to-1 CN ratio. So when you put it out, again, no leaching. It holds nutrients. It's a humus product. When we're finished with composting, it's a sterile humus product. And then some pictures, what we do with landscapes. So, this pictures at the very top is, you guys already have seen it, Archer Fill, and then landscapes installed on top of Archer Fill. And then you have to water, and dump synthetics to it to try to get it to survive, where we're now amending these soils where you're not having to do that. We use about 75% reduction of water. So it's a substantial, especially in a 500 home community. So a lot of ordinances now are passed now where home builders must use this product. So that's been a big win for us. It's about 8 years in the making. So golf courses, again, nematode suppression is a big one for us. Instead of them using the harmful synthetics, it's going into waterways. They're now using command. And then sports fields, you can, some of those stadiums you guys see, they're a big user of our product, along with a lot of other professional sports turf in the state of Florida. And then Parks and Recs is a big one now too. Actually, Alachua County just took, I think, about 10 loads to the Parks and Recs here in Jonesville. So again, reduction of synthetics. And then residential lawns, a lot of top dressing going on locally now. So again, reduction of synthetics by using command. So, and again, this is soil amending. It's a strive for 5% organic matter. Most soils in residential homes only have about 0.2. So again, by amending, we're able to hit that 5% organic matter, again, reducing synthetics and water usage. And then another picture of an amended soil versus unamended soil, so you can see the difference. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So we have the applicant's presentation, the staff report, and recommendation already gave us their recommendation. Now it's open for public comments. Stacy, did you have anything or? All right, so for public comments are limited to 3 minutes. So you're more than welcome if you have a question, Any comment? You just come up to the mic, state your name. All right. Cool. So with that, did staff or the applicant have any cross-examinations with each other or anything that they wanted to? No? All right. With that, members of the decision-making body through the chair, we can ask questions of staff, the applicant. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to cancel their True Green contracts after seeing that grass. I mean,
It's okay. My only question, is there going to be an entry off of 337, or will it only be down 260th and through the water treatment, or is
Yes,
that
it's
all
going to
one?
be a combined driveway with the Alachua County Rural Collection Facility, and this location will be a combined drive off of 337.
Okay.
Yes, Chair, I had a question. This was regarding something I read on page 27, items 10 and 11, that there was a mention of possible combustible or flammable materials being present on the composting facility, and as a result of not being fully connected to full utilities, fire hydrant, and so forth. How flammable are these items? Because I'm not familiar. Obviously now the presentation, it doesn't seem like there's any chemical compounds. But what type of risk are we looking that we're trying to mitigate with that?
I can't speak to it directly, but I do know that temperature mitigation is very intense. They have to keep temperature on
Probes,
it.
I read that part. I wasn't sure if it was
And-
affiliated with that.
And so, and we do have a fire hydrant on this site.
It's just not in the 50 feet
It's
requirement?
right, it's not in the 50
Okay.
feet requirement. So we have an ability for a fire truck to get reloaded with water and or,
I
you
was
know,
assuming our off-road one that we just got last year
Yes.
would be the prime example, and
you got it.
from the map, it didn't look like it was a huge situation, but I didn't know the timing of when the expectation because of the other wastewater
Facilities,
plant
yep.
plans.
Mhm.
So is it the hope in the next couple years, as the plan goes forward, now that the funding has been approved by the state, that we're looking at those things will be mitigated faster?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the whole timeline is 36 months. Sure.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So you can
Come on
get
down and
the
explain that.
facts.
Board members, this is Jamie Jones, City of Newberry. We have executed the agreement for funding for the wastewater treatment plant. We anticipate being under contract with the contractor in the next 10 business days or so. The project is substantial completion in 30 months from notice to proceed, 36 months to final completion. As part of that, a 12-inch water line will border this entire site. There is a 12-inch water main and fire hydrants within about 800 feet of where this will be initially, and it's going to take them a little while to get the site constructed and under operation. So we should have potable water and fire protection there shortly after they start operation.
Thank you. And then I had one more question, Stacy, if I could.
For me or Jamie?
It could be for the applicant, I'm not sure who would answer it. This was regarding, and because of the way the diagram is, I couldn't tell because of how small everything was. I noticed that about 18% of the trees are being removed out of the almost 5,000 trees there, roughly around 885 on page 38. And it mentioned landscaping, but not sure how intensive and if the overlay would apply to this section. It doesn't. I figured that. So is there any other trees that are gonna be built on that, or is that part of the landscaping they're talking about, or?
Yes, I can speak to that. So part of the use of the product, once it's completely composted, and actually I think you all are potentially going to be starting very soon and taking some of that stuff and starting to pile it up. We're going to be having a berm. They're building a berm on the, that would be the west side, and they're also building a berm on the north side of the property with this actual product. And then I think Jamie's plan is to landscape the north side at a minimum. So we're not only going to see the trees that are already existing that are there, but the berm is going up adjacent to those trees as well. The goal is from the road, you will see just the natural trees in the backside of the berm.
As I didn't drive by, I wanted to make sure, because there is over 4,000 trees that are remaining. I just wanted to make sure if there was any
Yes.
supplemental. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, if there's no other questions, any final arguments from the applicant or staff? No? All right, city attorney already advised us. The board can deliberate, and if there's no deliberation, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I was just going to motion to approve. Second.
So I got a motion from Ms. Parker, a second from, was that Thomas, or? A second from Thomas. Any comments on the motion? Any public comments on the motion? All right, signify, sorry, so no comments. We'll take a vote, signify by saying yay or nay on it.
Yay.
Yay, let's do it. All right, so motion passes 4. I'm not gonna bang the gavel like the mayor likes to do every time, so we're good. Not on every vote, so forgive me, Tim, but yeah, I'm not doing the gavel thing every time a vote's done. All right, so motion passes 4-0. We'll move on to the new item number 4.
Yes.
Stacy, are you still up on this one, or someone else?
I am, and I do not believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, has anybody new come in the room for the quasi? Okay, perfect. Then are you okay with me? Go ahead. Okay, sorry. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have anything else to say before I started. So, good evening again, Stacy Hectus with Community Development. This is a rezoning, LDR 2408. It's a change from agriculture to planned residential development on a roughly 160 acres called Sandia West. The recommendation is the Planning and Zoning Board shall make a recommendation on the rezoning petition LDR 2408 to the City Commission based on the staff presentation and the applicant's presentation. I'll hold on to it. Sorry?
Oh, I was gonna say, is the applicant here? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. They sure are. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information because I know some of you are wondering why you're hearing petition now versus ordinance and so on and so forth. And the way that things had been done in the past, we were bringing ordinances to you, and the City Commission is the only one that can approve or deny an ordinance. So with Mrs. Shalley on board, we have now decided to bring these petitions to you so that you can take a look at them, give your recommendation to the commission, and then the commission can make that, and then Attorney Shalley will work on that ordinance, and we will take that ordinance to our City Commission where they can vote on it. So I wanted to let you know that this will be our first application actually going through that process to go from petition to ordinance format. And like I said, you will review this petition and recommend to the to the City Commission based on a petition versus an actual ordinance. Remember, before we used to read the ordinance title in and all that stuff. We don't need to do that anymore. Right. So additionally, something to consider when you're making your decisions, the city has straight zoning. We have our RSF1, our RSF2, et cetera. Many of the applications that come forward to you are planned residential developments, PRDs, and planned developments, PDs. Those are in essence custom zoning ordinances. And so going from the petition to an ordinance will take a little bit more time. We work with the applicants to get them and the city where they need to be, but it does take more time when you're doing the custom zoning ordinances. If they came through and they just did a neighborhood that was RSF1, those processes are a little more fluid and easier to get through versus the custom zoning with PRD and PD. Just wanted to bring that to your attention because this will be the last one that you will see of this nature going forward. You'll see them all as petitions coming to you. The overview of this request is the companion rezoning to the recently transmitted future land use map amendment from agriculture to the low-density residential, which you saw last month. The rezoning to this evening is from agriculture to the PRD, which I just explained earlier. It's a more customizable zoning district. The property location, if you're familiar with Champions Park, there's a parcel that's adjacent to Champions Park. This is adjacent to that, so it's right in that area. I'll show you a map in just a second. And it is adjacent to the previously approved Sandia Town Park Phase 1 and Phase 2. And this is a custom rezoning request for 500 dwelling units. And there's the location of it. You can see the circles there on the far right, that's Champions. And then the existing Sandia Town Park is in between there. Sorry? Oh, sorry. The parcel is 02573-000-000. The applicant is NV5 Global. Owner is SMD Equity LLC. And like I said earlier, it's a proposed use is going to be residential low density for 500 dwelling units. There again is the parcel in the square. It's currently agriculture. And you can see to the right, that is the basically the infrastructure. That's the roadway in there. And that upper right arrow is the one that connects to the existing Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Sandia Town Park. So I wanted to give you just a brief overview of this timeline. We received the application in February of 2024, and we roughly had 3 reviews. The applicant will also show something fairly similar to this, where we decided at that point in later February or later of 2024 that there needs to be a unified developers agreement, as Sandia West cannot exist without Town Park Phase 1 and Town Park Phase 2. And so we've moved forward. We've worked with the applicant basically September 25 to January 26 to work on that developer agreement. And I think we're at a fairly comfortable spot with that. In January 2026, the current transportation impact analysis is being reviewed concurrently with other items. 2 of them were on the agenda initially, or advertised. They will be at the special meeting. And March 2026, you saw the large-scale future land use map amendment. We transmitted that to the state shortly after the city commission meeting, and we're here in April of 2026 for that rezoning. I also wanted to bring to your attention, which you saw in your staff report, the planned residential development criteria. I won't read them all out to you because I know you've already read them, but roughly these are the criteria that staff reviews the applications based on when they're submitted for these planned residential developments. We encourage the flexible and creative concepts of site planning, accomplish some more desirable environmental, saving some areas with we're looking more sometimes at not just the tree, but the environment surrounding the tree. Just some of those natural things that we'd like folks to preserve. Provide an efficient use of the land. I think the FFA gentleman said it best. Some of those cluster type developments are great for preserving land. Those are some of the unique characteristics we look at in some of these planned residential developments. So as staff assessed the development order, we've been going back and forth with the applicant for a little while. We did find a few items that we wanted to bring to their attention regarding the setbacks in the side and the rear. We're based on mechanical issues that we're currently having with existing PRD subdivisions or mixed-use subdivisions where they're coming to us and they want to put a pool in the backyard, and unfortunately, there's just not enough room for it. So they're wanting a variance, which can't be applied for. We don't want people's air conditioning unit, 3 feet away from the neighbor's window. So those are some things that we brought up to the applicants. Garage orientation is also very important, especially if you're at an intersection or a corner lot. We've edited some of the language related to the reimbursement agreements and edited some statements as well. They have all these, and you saw them in your packet where we underlined them and struck through some things and corrected a code section. And as stated earlier, this was edited by staff, and it's important to note that there is no water or wastewater capacity reserved for this project unless you reserve it through one of our 3 ways to reserve that water and wastewater capacity. And here is the recommendation again, and I have the applicant that can come up and do their presentation as well, unless you have any other questions for me before I sit down. Okay. Nope. Oh, here it comes. I'm not touching a thing. She's working on it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Here you go. Very, very, very sensitive. Craig, be careful.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Morning.
Yeah, it's got to be easier than the last time with the mouse. Good evening, Craig Brazier with NV5. I'm an AICP professional planner with 22 years of experience all here in the state of Florida, a lot of it right here in and around Alachua County, Newberry. So we've done a lot of work in the city of Newberry, so I'm very, very familiar. So this is, yeah, as staff said, the continuation of a large-scale comp plan amendment that came to you about a month ago. That has since gone on to the city commission, been transmitted to the state. So now this is the implementing zoning. As staff also pointed out, it is for planned residential development. I think a few important things here to point out. This is adjacent to Sandia Town Park Phases 1 and 2, which has long been approved and now starting to pick up some momentum. We have infrastructure plans in for review. So things here are hoping to get moving and become real sooner than later. This is the timeline. As staff also referenced, we've been working on this one for quite some time. There's been a lot of moving parts with the city's utilities that we had to get figured out with water and sewer, which we now understand moving forward what that looks like. The PRDs with specific conditions also take a little longer to work through. So now we're here. We're at a point that's we're all comfortable with taking in front of you to the city commission. We're in agreement on everything at this point that's in our DO, that's in the Unified Development Agreement, which adds a lot more specificity about utilities and whatnot, which we can talk about here a little bit more if y'all have any questions. It's been a long time coming, but we think now we're ready to move forward, and I think city staff agrees with everything to this point. So here's a little bit different map to kind of give you some additional surrounding development and show how this is adjacent to Sandia Town Park Phases 1 and 2, situated between Southwest 30th Ave, Southwest 46th Ave, and then 2741 out to the east. As staff stated also, you can see here, this is the proposed PD plan, or planned residential development plan. And you can see that the only connections for access will be to the east. The ones to the west and to the north that you see will be stub outs for future development. So if anything ever occurs in the future to the west, they would connect to our roadway. We're not extending or building roadways to the west or extending or building roadways to the north. All of the access will come from the east on those 2 arrows that you see over there. So there will be no connections to the south or to the southeast or southwest, as those were some questions that came up last month during this meeting and during the city commission meeting when we were just looking at land use, and of course we didn't have even this level of detail. So now that we kind of know what the roadway network looks like, everything will continue to develop. It's also very fortunate with this site too, in its orientation and just its natural topography, that it's higher in the middle and lower on the edges. So along the perimeter, especially in the southeast, southwest, and even a little bit along the east there, will be natural locations for stormwater basins. So there will be some natural buffer provided there along the perimeter. Of course, we will continue to refine this as we move forward because we haven't had specific stormwater.
Excuse me. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So we haven't had specific stormwater designs. So as things move on in engineering and permitting, the basins will be designed appropriately sized. That'll have a lot of impact on the exact number of lots that can be achieved and where they end up going. And I do have some, but didn't include it in the plans themselves, but I do have the second sheet of the proposed master plan is the utility connections. So you can see that the spine road that comes down through Sandia Town Park phases 1 and 2 provides the major access point and the utility connection point for Sandia West. Because as we work through with staff, Sandia West really can't happen on its own. It has to have some of the access and infrastructure from Sandia Town Park before this can develop. And the utility plan that is the second sheet of the PD zoning master plan demonstrates that. So I do have copies of that if y'all would like to see that. It was in your backup materials, but just in case. This is the low-density residential, which came to you last month. Y'all recommended approval. City Commission, as stated, did approve it to transmit to the state. We'll wait on state comments if they have any, and then it will go one more time to the City Commission for their final approval. This is the existing zoning. I do want to point out that this site is within the city's urban service area. So it's where they have planned for growth within, the more central parts of the city, which, as we heard from the presentation earlier this evening, it's important to define those areas and where that growth is intended to take place so that you can preserve the areas outside that for the long term for agricultural and green space and conservation issues. And so this is how this would work with the adjacent zoning. So the PRD, so this is focused on residential development only, single family style residential development, whereas Sandia Town Park is a mixed use development, which contains a variety of uses from entertainment, retail, multifamily, office. There again, we don't exactly know what all those end users will actually be at this point, but it allows for a wider variety, and this offers some different type of residential development close to main transportation corridors in the central part of the city, and also next to all of these forthcoming entertainment and retail options. This is a closer look at the PD plan that we were just talking about. I do want to point out that the land use that was approved based on the 4 units an acre that are the maximum development potential would allow 636 residential units. This is scaled that back to the maximum of 500. And there again, as stormwater design and final engineering go, that number is still in flux. So it could end up even being less than that. The PD establishes maximums, so there would be no more than 500. But that is quite the reduction already from what's allowed by the underlying future land use. These are some of the comp plan goals, objectives, and policies, which all the backup material demonstrates consistency with. These are some of the land development code sections that all of our backup material, our justification report, staff report demonstrates consistency with. And staff did find that this application and the proposed PRD are consistent with the comp plan and land development code. So we are here tonight asking that you recommend approval to the City Commission so that we can implement the land use that was previously approved and moving through the process. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. Yeah, no, I know. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, staff, for the presentation. At this moment, we'll have public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes, so I believe there is a little timer there as far as making sure that way if everybody wants to speak on this particular item, they can. So the only thing we ask is that you just state your name for the public record. And yeah. So if we have any comments on this item. All right, so take it there's no comments on this one. So at this point, the applicant, if you're something that you wanted to, we're done with life soil. Just saying, like it just keeps popping up life soil. I like sponsored by life soil at this point. Well, if the applicant has anything that they want to cross-examine, does staff have anything that they want to cross-examine from the applicant that they heard that might have not been on par or something to that extent? We're good? All right. So with that, members of the decision-making body, through the chair, may ask questions of the staff. I'm pretty confident. If I know my board, we do have questions. We do like asking the hard questions. So I will entertain questions.
No. It's all you, man.
Oh, let's not all be shy now.
You went first, so you like it? You don't have any questions? I'm the only one with questions today? Okay.
So you got questions. Let's go.
All right, I have several. So I spent significant time researching and reviewing because I wasn't here in 2021 when the initial town park was approved. So I really wanted to understand how everything meshes, especially since this is a landlocked parcel asking for rezoning that cannot move forward without town park, Sandia Town Park 1 and 2 phases moving forward. So I have a few questions. There was a mention of a post office in the agreement. And so I'm wondering, is that going to be like a HOA post office that they're just doing collection for packages? Or is that going to actually be USPS?
Again, Craig Brazier representing the applicant. There's absolutely no specific planned use for a post office. It's one, when you're doing these types of zonings, you try to put down and
You put in there just in case it.
you try to think
okay.
of some all possibilities.
I'm only asking because
but-
they're definitely in the red right now, so I wasn't.
No, there's
we can't even get an upgrade for
and
our current post office. So,
and I will say that's language that is familiar to other types of
again,
similar projects
it
that
was
we've
my
done in
first one,
Newberry.
and I try to find comparisons
Understood.
between the both. And then I did have a question regarding the setbacks that Stacy mentioned. So the way I'm understanding it is it's 3 feet on each side. So if we're looking at any of these particular streets, there'll be 6 feet between each house total?
That's correct, yeah. But there
And,
again.
and if you're back to back, I just want to, like, worst
Yeah.
case scenario,
Yeah.
very conservative, because I'm just thinking the person who buys the smallest lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then backyard to backyard would be 10 feet each, so 20 feet from back house.
Minimum.
That's the worst case scenario.
That's minimum, yeah.
Okay. How big are these homes being prescribed? Like, are we talking like a 3-bedroom, 4 bedrooms?
There again, that
Don't know
that
that.
level of detail
Has not been
is
decided.
not
Okay.
there. This is
We just know
all-
that there's going to be 3.13 homes per acre. Is that correct?
There again,
According to
maximum.
the plant, yes, maximum. Okay. I'm hoping for the best situation to where it's like, because I did see the flow and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm concerned is not just by the setbacks, but also by the parking situation, because when I was reading through, it looks like parking on the street will only be permitted for straightaway streets of 500 feet or longer, which I don't know how many streets in the actual division that applies to. Do you happen to know that?
There again, it's gonna depend on the final design.
Right, I'm just
This
saying
is
the way it's
conceptual.
presented on
At
page
this point
196.
in the conceptual, would be very limited.
Very limited, okay. So we can't enjoy our backyard because it's so small, right? And I can say that this happened to me when I bought my lot in Newberry. I didn't know that there were parts on your land you couldn't build on. I just assumed it's within a certain number of feet, I was very spoiled, I guess, in California. But I would want to know that there's obviously going to be some type of disclosure to people who are buying that know that, because, or is there going to be a public pool part of the HOA that they're going to be able to use so that
And that's where I was, a lot of times that's one of the upsides to these types of planned developments is the shared open
Right.
space. So that not everybody uses more.
you don't have to have your own personal pool
that's
because
right.
you're going to be paying for an HO fee. Okay,
That's right.
so
And in this
that's a
case,
supplement.
and in this case too, it's the intent that, this is to work hand in hand with Sandia Town Park. So a lot of the park and open space and recreational facilities.
Agreed.
And that will also be a benefit to.
And there is significant. I see there's somewhere between 5 and 15%, but the way it's presented,
Right.
it looks more significant than 15% based on the maps that have been presented in the initial plans, both with Town Park
Yes.
and Phase 1 and 2. There was also a mention of mass transit and a downtown trolley. And I noticed it was part of Town Park 1 or 2. Is that still an idea to continue?
A lot of that was of higher importance at the beginning of the project. I don't know if the city still plans. We would obviously work with the city
Should I
to
turn
carry
it
out any
over
of those.
to manager?
But if there's
Noah?
any kind of plan like that, we'd coordinate and participate, but I don't know if that's still a priority of the city.
I didn't know if it was something that was going to be part of the amenities offered in Town Park 1, 2, or Cyndia West.
There again, I think it was always planned to be in unison with like downtown
Okay.
and
Do
supporting
you want to jump
downtown
on
business.
that, Manager Marlowe?
I'm happy to answer any questions y'all ask. So, Greg is right. That was the overall concept back then, was when we were going to try to get an easement from Champions Park to the historic downtown, and that's where the trolley idea stemmed from. Since then, we haven't been able to get those easements, so I don't think it's a pressing issue at this point in time.
No, I'm never pressing, but I'm just curious, just for continuality between the plans. And then my last one, which the manager did give me some clarity. The plan is, if the way that our laws work is, if you don't break ground on Sandia West within 1 year, I understand it, is that you would have to come back and reapply. And I'm only saying this because the way the phases were for Town Park 1 and 2, we should have seen some more movement. And I understand there's been segmentation. But am I understanding it's about 16 years between the 5 phases for Sandia West, starting basically in 2028 all the way through 2044? Is that correct? Is that the estimate?
That's the estimate.
With a maximum of 30 years to build everything out?
Hopefully not that long, but yeah.
I'm only saying this because people are very concerned. I mean, we just had this presentation.
Sure.
And so it looks like it's 100 homes per phase, assuming that they sell at the pace that they assume and that you're not building in excess of that. So it's going to be significant. And the planning that I also saw, unless somebody else wanted to speak with the traffic.
Are you talking about the roads with the connection?
Not only the connection, but the lights, the way that I saw the lights from the TIA. Okay. When I was reading through the very intensive Florida Department of Transportation report, it basically said that we're not going to get a light there on 30th until there's over 500 homes built, correct?
So there will be, so FDOT on their roadways only gives you the opportunity to put a signal in when it's warranted. So we've done an analysis at this point that indicates when it would be warranted. So that's factored in.
That's the trigger, right?
So that's the latest, but moving forward, there's nothing to say that it may be warranted sooner. So, I mean, because.
Correct, because there might be something
That's right.
combined that
That's right.
impacts it as well that's out of your control.
That is correct.
Correct.
And so in this situation, we, and a lot of times we're able to work with FDOT, and we know that it's going to be warranted at some point, and they've gotten a lot better at saying, okay, go ahead and plan for it, so that by the time you need it, it'll actually be there. So we're always working with them and trying to push it, especially for development like this that would greatly benefit from it. We want the light too.
But they only take in consideration, the way I understood the report, and it's very mundane. If people want some boring reading, I suggest you read that before you go to bed. It's the truth. It'll put you to bed, yeah. It only takes in consideration residency. It doesn't take the fluctuation. I mean, it shows trips, but it doesn't show the impact of having hotels or
Well, we did.
the sports things.
No. So the traffic study that we have provided looks at Sandia Town Park 1 and 2 with these 500 residential units in its totality.
Okay, that
So
was the clarity I was asking
It takes
for.
into account all of those other generators as well as this. So you have to go back, because
it was pretty mild right now because there's not
Sure.
much traffic
Well,
outside the.
and phase
the
1 and
terminus.
2 got approved before.
Right.
So we took that study, updated it, added these 500 residential units to the study. That changed some of the improvements that we had to make, especially out on 2741, and sent that back to FDOT, had those conversations, and they have since communicated with the city. They signed off on all the changes we made and the improvements now based on everything plus our 500. So it is looking at it holistically.
The way that I understood it is 30th would be the first light
That's
once we
right.
hit the 500
And it's
residency.
because development is intended to come from the north.
Correct.
to the
That
south.
makes sense. And then on 46, it would be a three-way light there
When
after
there-
650 units, I believe.
some-
I
at
just
some
wanted that
point,
for
yeah.
public reference
When-
because I don't think anyone's going to go
Yes.
read a 600
I
pages.
know all those are, and there is, and if anybody wants to reach out to us, please, feel free and we can provide them. It's all public record at this point.
Mhm.
So if it's easier to come through us instead of city staff, they can reach out to us and we can provide them the summary from that so they can see exactly some of those thresholds.
Yeah,
and
so they don't
some
have
of
to read
those-
the hundreds of
that's-
pages, I
yeah,
guess.
with
Yeah.
even-
No, that makes a lot more clarity because it is overwhelming, overlapping Town Park 1 and 2. And like Stacy said, unless the infrastructure is set up from Town Park 1 and 2,
Right.
Sandia West will not be
That's correct.
be functional.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
While you're here,
Yeah.
why they're deciding who's going to ask next. So for clarification, my math is not mathing on this, where the amount of homes that you're looking for,
Mhm.
I appreciate that it's a lot less than what's typically required, right?
Well, what's
However,
approved by the land use.
right. So my question to you on this is, it looks really nice on paper to say 3 per acre, but the reality is that if with these kind of setbacks, it's going to be more than 3 per acre, even though it's a max of 500. Is this like another Oakview Village style that it's going to be like 7 houses? Because with the setbacks at 10 feet and 3 feet, that doesn't leave each lot to have a quarter acre lot.
So
if you look at Old Country Way,
Mhm.
those are quarter acres or 0.3 acres. New Country Way on the newer side, those are quarter acre lots. So when I'm looking at a 3-foot setback, I'm like, I don't have 3 feet between my neighbors. I'm like a good 15, 20 feet from my neighbors. So can you explain that for just clarification?
Sure. So, the idea is to have a mix of unit types in here, and that's how we arrived at the 500 number. Because if you were going to achieve that 4 units per acre that was allowed by the land use, you would really, then everywhere throughout the development would be like you're talking about. This is at the PD stage, you establish maximum numbers and minimum setbacks. Everything that really develops will be somewhere in between there. And backing into that number, we got there by a mix of residential product types, larger lots to to the smaller. So the minimum here is a 50-foot wide lot. So that's the absolute minimum. But it's intended because there again, if you were going to do them all like that, you'd be shooting for a much higher number. By lowering that density and factoring in, and also the other thing, like we mentioned earlier, you're capped at that 500. So everything else is going to be open space or transportation or stormwater or some other aspect of the community. So it's not like that allows you to create an entire development of the type of lots you're talking about. If there's 1 or 2 pockets of those in here, then that creates a variety of price points for the development, as well as different types of just housing product for visual variety as well. But it's not intended for every part of this development to be that way, and that's why we're arriving at the numbers that we are. And there again, everything in here is just kind of setting the parameters for development to take place within.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. So what's the plan per year? Because I know you have a 500. Board member Carey said, it's a 30-year, and you made a comment saying, well, we're hoping to be done way before then. So it's like, how many are you trying? What is like the goal every year? What is like the minimum every year? What is the maximum every year? So you're setting
I mean,
parameters. I would like to know the maximum.
Yeah, I mean, that's market driven. So, I mean, that's hard to say because I can tell you today that, the goal is between 50 and 100 per year. But over the time span of a project like this, you're going to have years below that. So it's, that's why you have that extra time for the build out because you're not going to, it's just the cycle of Florida that, it seems very strong right now, but we've been here before in the past and you're going to have
Correct.
those down years. So it's really impossible to say. And that's why you're kind of given the time frames you are for these types of developments.
Okay. And then my other question is, I'm so happy that FFA was actually here today because they said something exactly what I've been chiming in on the last 8 years on the PNZ is greater buffer space, greater buffer, like buffer. Um, like I look at a Tioga and I see all the trees, I see all the buffers, and it's like you can't even tell that some of these are going to be on top of each other because of how much buffering there is. And then I look at developments in Newberry, and we come across some that are, correct. And their way of getting away with green space is like, well, I have grass, and I'm like, I'm sorry, man, that's not green space to me. Yes, it's green, but it's not green space. So my question is, with all that space that is going to be there, because to your plan, it's obviously you're not going to be just pack one corner of that subdivision. Is there some sort of agreement to have more green space in this area because of where it's at? I mean, you got neighbors that are still ag, you got neighbors that are still farmers, you got neighbors that I overheard the gentleman talking about turkeys.
Yeah.
There's turkeys out there, and last thing you want is a turkey coming into a garage. So, I mean,
maybe you do.
Depending on the time of the
Depends on
year,
the season,
it depends on the
yeah.
season. But to respect our farmers, like FFA was saying,
Sure.
one of the biggest things, and these kids study this, is buffers. And I'm a huge fan of hearing, hey, we're required to do 25, we're planning on doing 50. Like, is there any plans on like extending the buffer since of the location you're in?
Well, I think too, that's kind of why I made it a point to talk about the natural topography of this site. It's higher in the middle, it's lower around the perimeter, especially in that southeastern, southwestern, and southern boundary. So those are going to be, water goes downhill. And so those are going to be the natural locations for stormwater basins, which are going to help create, in addition to any of the buffers required by the city already, some additional space. And as I was explaining to one of the neighbors ahead of time, when it comes to looking at stormwater, based on the parameters of the analysis that you have to design to, you typically capture more water than is currently running off today. So that's the standard. Whatever's hitting that site today and running off site, you can't increase that. So with all of your development, you can't increase the amount of stormwater that leaves the site today. But because the regulations and what you have to design to is higher than that, in reality, you end up capturing more than what's running off today. So you're creating these natural areas of open space, and you're improving if there are any drainage issues potentially in that area. And the other good thing is that because of the soils and the typical type of developments that you have here in and around Newberry and the karst, since it's going to be dry ponds. It's not going to be sitting there holding water, because I know a lot of people are worried about them attracting mosquitoes or enhancing mosquito problems. These are typically dry ponds. It creates and they'll be landscape. There are landscape requirements for these ponds as well. So it's very fortunate the way this one works out, that some of those buffer areas are already going to exceed any buffers that are required by the city's code.
I guess I have more of a comment
Sure.
than a question. Another thing that I think should be considered is when you're building around other homes and agriculture, the consideration of the construction dust that comes off and maintaining a barrier as you build, so that tree line, you don't just go wipe it all out. You leave a barrier around so that you're not creating it and they're not watching and getting the dust and everything else from construction coming towards them and their fields and their homes and everything else while you build.
Understood. And there's actually, when you get to that level of construction plans, you have to provide the methods that you're going to be implementing on the sites to do exactly that. Keep dust down, keep from dragging gravel out into the public roads. I mean, and it's there. Now, whether contractors follow them all the time, then they have to, sometimes you have to ensure that it's being held up to. But the plans, they're there. Those requirements are identified. Those methods are in the planning and the construction drawings for these developments.
I think to add to my board member Parker, we have a certain board member that's experiencing a great deal of construction right next to her. And I agree to the sense of, that's great that they're there. How does that get enforced?
I mean,
You don't call ASO to tell them, hey, there's dust on my property. But there has to be some sort of accountability.
And I think there again, it's, somebody has to go check to make sure that they are implementing and doing the methods that are outlined in the plans. And if they're not, well, then, they have to, someone needs to make sure that they do. I mean, it's more of a reactionary enforcement issue as opposed to, they're just.
So who do you complain to? The developer, the city, the building department? I mean, who do you talk to enforce that? Code enforcement? Miss Greta.
Greta's really good at her job. Board member, go ahead, Ms. He's not a board member, he's just.
I had a question since you had mentioned, so where exactly on the detailed map it's page 196 of our packet that has the roadways for Sandia West, would the pool facilities, or would that be part of Town Park 1, 2?
So that's all comes at, you're talking about any kind of recreational?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's gonna be somebody's backyard, like, because I know you mentioned townhomes. I looked at the height, because that's always been a pet peeve of mine is height. Okay. If you guys are still considering that, one of the things that I wish our community had was actually a park that you could actually walk to versus having to drive to the park, especially when there's all other activities for sports related, and there's no parking, and, people are gonna be living in their little small yards and so forth. It's not my favorite thing, just because it's not for me, it doesn't mean it's not somebody else's cup of tea. I would just be curious on the future maps that come out that would have that detail, because I think the quality of life and keeping the culture of Newberry, not just the history, but where it follow, not just the comp plan, but just what our tonality about Newberry is really important.
So I think that, you do raise a good point, though, because we're not quite to that level of detail yet.
Right, I just want that clarity.
This is another step in the process. So moving forward, the next thing you would see, just for this residential component, would be a preliminary plat. At that preliminary plat phase, you would start to see exact
details
lot
of where the
lines. So you would understand the lot mixes, you would understand where open space is gonna be, you'd understand stormwater pond designs.
And you gotta wait for the state to say what you can and cannot have to as well, right?
When you get to that level, it's local review. So when
Okay.
you
So it's
start,
more what we- okay.
that's right.
That's good to know.
You have more control once you start moving into preliminary plats. Now, there are state standards that say, here's what a plat has to include.
Right.
But it ultimately has to be consistent with your land development code and your regulations.
Fair enough. On the map, though, I know we mentioned how many townhomes. Are they gonna be like duplexes?
There again,
You don't know about that yet?
There again, no townhomes have been planned at this point. And that number, townhomes were not factored into that 500 number.
Okay.
So those are included in there to allow, again, for some market flexibility.
Depending
So
on
as
how the
yeah,
lines
and,
fall.
and I can
Got it.
tell you what we know right now from other parts of the state where we're working. There's just not a lot of, there again, it differs from community to community, but right now the appetite's just not there for townhomes.
Yeah,
So-
I think the only feedback that I would give is that as long as somebody is not in a ranch-style home next to someone with a 2 or 3 story townhome, looking
Yeah.
into your yard for privacy. I mean, you already have a small yard.
Sure.
Just for privacy. That's one thing I will say that developers and the builders for Newberry Oaks did really well. They put all of the 2 stories together in a segregated area. You could only buy those lots if you had a 2 story, and all the ranch styles were next to each other. And for the limited privacy that we have, it was nice.
And home builders do a great deal of research, and they understand what sells and what the market's looking for and what makes a lot valuable. So
Agreed.
they're wanting to do
I
they're wanting
understand
to
this is
do
quite,
what people want to buy.
I agree that there is a lot of expertise. I'm not questioning that. It's a lot of homes and people just pay attention to numbers and how tight it is. And I want to know that there's a lot of thought,
Absolutely.
not only just for this board, but all the people behind it. The city's team puts a lot of thought and effort into this as well.
So you really start to get that level of detail when this moves forward.
City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say a couple of things just for the record. The conversation I had with Board Member Carey today about sunsetting, all of those nuances came into play before Sandia Park. So we've evolved as a government. We've learned about those kinds of things. Sandia West will probably not develop within a year because the development is going to start in the northeast corner and then we'll work that way. So what the board is talking about right now is amending that to add this into it. So I just want to make that clear. I don't want anybody going home and say, well, they haven't moved dirt in a year, it's canceled. So if I misspoke earlier, we were talking about how we got to the stipulations that we put into applications today. So just want to make sure. I have talked to the developer many times. The developer would love to go ahead and put in the improvements and light and all that, but lights are dictated by the state. Even if we want to pay for them, the state is the only entity that says, yes, you can have a stoplight or you can't have a stoplight. Doesn't really matter if we're willing to pay for it, right? They still dictate that. There is no set number of houses that the commission has said they will or will not build in a year. What the commission has said repeatedly is that they're comfortable building between 3 and 5%. Now, percentages change from year to year, right? I'd be willing, I would love to do it, it'd be inappropriate in the middle of quasi-judicial, but the most houses that Newberry has ever built in a year, I'll just pause dramatically so you can see a number in your head. The most houses that Newberry's ever built in a year, 220. Okay, I used to ask that question to my students. I'd get 1,500, 2,000, 2,200. The most houses we've ever built in a year, 220. Last year we built 189. So I would venture at our current staffing level, at the current attrition rate, what the market can handle, probably in that range. And that's all the developments that are happening in Newberry at any given time, right? So Sandia Park, Northfleet Homes, Country Way, Avalon Woods, all of those, most we've ever built in a year is 220 in that year. So again, there is no number, but the commission is comfortable in that 3 to 5% range. We feel like we can plan for the infrastructure at that range. As it comes to dust and construction, I just ask for a little grace. Sometimes the good Lord doesn't bless us with the rain in the moment. And things are a little bit dusty, right? So I'm very, very sensitive to code enforcement. We're gonna work with code enforcement on those kind of things, but I also ask residents to be a little understanding in reverse. Sometimes, life happens. So those were my 4 comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So you brought up a really good point. That 189 last year. I've been a resident of Newberry for 10 years, and one of those houses was mine. So, and I'm not the only person in Newberry that builds in Newberry and then decides to move into another home. That's what happens when you love where you live and, you want to, change the scenery a little bit, or, God blessed you with another child and you're like, I need a bigger house. So I will say that it's not just people just moving into Newberry. It's also our own residents that are, moving. It's also crazy. I found out a really weird statistic the other day of how many farmers that ended up selling their farm and moving into one of these development communities because they're like, I don't want to farm anymore. I'm done. Like, I want to cash in and I want to live a comfortable life. I don't have to mow the lawn anymore. Have an HOA do it. But I want everybody here to rest assured that, like, what we do in the planning and zoning is every comment that's made here, we don't have any way of approving anything. Just because you hear motion to approve, all we're motioning to approve here is to move it to the commission and let them know, like, hey, they've crossed their T's, they've dot their I's. Our attorney's here to let us know, like, hey, this has all been done to the standards. if we go and say, we're going to deny this because I just don't like houses, well, guess what? Sandia Park is going to be like, get our attorney. We're now going to end up suing Newberry. They're going to make some money and they're going to build the house. So two things will end up happening to us. So our job on the P&Z is a protection for you guys, to really ask the questions, try to see if we can engage our developer a little bit better, make sure that buffers are being met, things are being met, concerns are being met, and then pass that concern to the commission. And our commission, I think, does a phenomenal job of relaying that same message and making sure that those get enforced. So I don't want anybody freaking out and going on the forum saying, oh, here goes the planning and zoning board approving another development. All we did was say, like, you guys did exactly what you had to do legally, and then some. You had to deal with my questions, and not just my questions, but a whole board's questions to move this along. So I'll get off on that, off of that horse now. Does anybody on my board have any other questions for the applicant, for staff, on this particular topic? Ms. Thomas? Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into final arguments to be made by the applicant or staff related solely to the evidence and testimony presented. If you got anything, Stacy, where did Stacy go? Oh, there. Oh, you just like mixed in. All right. City attorney already advised us, and then we'll go ahead and deliberate. If we're not going to deliberate, I will entertain a motion with conditions, or deny. Is that all from the construction dust? Is that why you're sneezing?
No, that's from the lack of rain he was talking about.
We just got rain, like.
It didn't work.
I'm surprised we still have a fire ban after that monsoon that came down the other day. What are you talking about? You didn't see the tornadoes that we went through in Newberry Road. All right, so we'll go ahead and entertain a motion if there's no more deliberation to approve, approval conditions, deny, or continue.
I guess it's my time to motion to approve as presented the rezoning from ag to PRD. Is that correct? For the special PRD.
Second.
I'm sorry, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimous 4-0. We will move on to, okay, so we're getting out of quasi judicial. We're back to the legislative. So we're gonna go to motion, item number 5, comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 2504. Oh, hello. You're not Stacy.
Is it on?
Yep, you're on the
Okay.
screen.
We love you, Stacy.
Hey.
Well, we were excited to see you, Lauren. I'm just,
still
she
here.
she looked a little sad over there. So.
Lauren Yetter, Community Development. Let's see, hopefully I can get this to work.
All right, we gonna do land soil again or life
No,
soil?
it's not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
we're on the right one. Okay, so this is a large-scale future land use map amendment transmittal. The change is from mixed use to residential medium density on 225.29 acres known as Newberry Ridge. And so the recommendation is a motion to the City Commission to transmit to the state, Florida Commerce, a large-scale amendment to the future land use map from mixed use to residential medium density classification. So I'll show a map in a minute here. Again, it's from mixed use to residential medium density, which is 8 dwelling units per acre. The property location, it's generally located at the north of Southwest 30th Avenue and about 1/8 of a mile east of US Highway 27 and to the southeast of Countryway Planned Development. And so this outlined right here, that gray polygon, that's the subject area. Subject properties, it's actually 9 different parcels put together. The applicant is Florida Land Development Partners 1 LLC. The owner is FH Newberry LLC. Again, the proposed future land use is residential medium density, which is up to 8 dwelling units per acre. And this just shows the current future land use on the left. It's currently mixed use. And the proposed on the right is residential medium density. There is a companion petition for zoning that was continued, and that'll be heard in the April 21st PZ meeting, special meeting. So just a brief timeline. Application was received around June 2025. We went through several rounds of review with staff through January 2026. That was the final resubmittal. And there's also been, along with Sandia West and Countryway 2, there's a transportation impact analysis review that's concurrent with these other developments that are in the vicinity. And so April 2026, we're here now, the large-scale future land use map amendment. And then again, just a refresher, large-scale, the threshold is 50 acres. This surpasses the threshold of 50 acres, so it has to go through the expedited state review process. It's a slightly longer process. It gets sent to Florida Commerce, the state agency, as well as other state agencies for review like DOT, DEP, water management districts. And that starts like a 30-day review. Those agencies have 30 days to review the petition, and then it'll go to first public hearing, and then after that, second public hearing. So again, the companion rezoning application was postponed to the April 21st special meeting. And again, the recommendation is to the City Commission to transmit to the state a large-scale amendment to the future land use map from mixed use to residential medium density classification. And the applicant is actually here to present as well. Hopefully. Oh, I may have turned it off.
That's okay, because I think I'm gonna not do my presentation. Hi, I'm Julie Kendig. I'm here today on behalf of Florida Land Development Partners with Greenberg Traurig. I do have a presentation that I'm happy to do. I prepared it for the rezoning and the comp plan, so I was going to just make a few points and follow up on staff's points, since some of my presentation gets into details that aren't as relevant for the future land use change. So again, we're here today and obviously support the staff report. We don't have any disagreement with the comments in the staff report. I just wanted to make a couple of follow-up points. As mentioned, we are asking for a comprehensive plan amendment change that would change the approved future land use for the property from a mixed use to a medium density residential. So just for context, the mixed use future land use, which is on the property right now, would actually allow for up to about 3,379 multifamily units maximum. And we've talked about this, you guys have heard it tonight. That's the cap. And generally everything comes down from there through the development process. But the current maximum cap on this property would be almost 3,379 multifamily. So our plan, which you're going to see as part of the rezoning on April 21st, is actually requesting approximately 1,250 homes. So what we're doing to get closer to that number, we're moving the comprehensive plan future land use designation down in maximum density to medium density, which would be at about 8 dwelling units per acre, as you heard from Lauren. And then on April 21st, we'll come in with our plan development that you just saw, the example that Sandia put forth that had the details, the development details. But for tonight, we're looking at our future land use on the 21st, we'll come in with a specific plan. The plan, generally speaking, and part of the reason why we're going to the medium density residential from mixed use, is we're looking at doing a mixture of product on this property. There would be, we're proposing, and again, we'll see this on April 21st, single-family homes, plus some build-to-rent product, plus multifamily and townhomes. It'll be a mixture of multifamily products. So we hope it'll help widen the base of residential project or product that's available, and that will be more attainable to a greater breadth of economic bandwidths and people within the community. So that's what we're requesting today. Again, this is the future land use change, and we're requesting to go to a residential medium density. And we'll be back again on April 21st with more specifics for the rezoning. We have our team here. We have our engineer, Brendan Kelly from Bowman. We also have our planning consultant, Troy Fergala. So if you guys have any questions for us, we're happy to answer. Please just let me know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're not in quasi judicial. So from here, we can actually just open it up for questions from the board that we have.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say that staff is in support of this, because one of the things that we're beginning to see with all of these neighborhoods that have mixed use, it's making it very difficult to pull people to downtown Newberry. So when I decentralize the commercial and I let commercial happen sort of in every development, it just makes it hard for us to come together as a community, because we're pushing those commercial centers out. People aren't coming downtown, those kinds of things. So this was not a suggestion by staff. The applicant came in and asked for this, but this is the kind of thing that we would like to see, is that neighborhoods go out and then keep our commercials sort of in a more centralized location.
Thank you. I mean, I like hearing the fact that, you know, it was prior at 3,000. It's obviously going to, what was it, 1,250. The one concern, and I'll just be very frank, is Newberry has tried and tried and tried with like these apartments or townhomes deals. And where this is located at, I'll just be very frank, townhomes make no sense there. Because you got a lot, this is where, so when I envision Newberry, I see the central part of Newberry, the core, downtown. That's where you want to see the apartments and townhome clusters. As you start spreading out, when you start getting into the Country Way area, Sandia Park areas, that's where you like to see like the single family homes, if it is a planned development, where you have, you know, quarter-acre lots. To see townhomes all the way down there, just kind of, to me, just spots it somewhere, and it's like it doesn't make sense. And then what ends up happening is, I'm not going to say it's going to happen again, but like Oakview Village across the middle school was supposed to be apartments. It didn't pan out with the developer. He decided to do single family homes, and those family homes are super, super tight lot lines. And I would hate to see that happen in something like that, because the plan looked beautiful. I know that's just a, you know, it's not the real deal, but it's just an idea. But to see townhomes where like you have a farm literally across the street from you, to me, that's not the vision I had for Newberry. I agree with our manager and our staff about making sure that we centralize our commercial to downtown more instead of having all these spots with commercial, because that just really kills a lot of businesses. But to put townhomes that far out into like the farm area, like that's just the only part that really basically just turned the switch off for me. So I don't know how anybody else felt about hearing that part, but I'll open it up to the dais.
You ready? Okay, that brought up a good point for me as well, and beautiful plans, no doubt. However, when I think of Gainesville, when I was, well, a while ago, and everyone, I'm just going to say from shopping, we shopped at Moss Brothers, the mall. JCPenney's and Belk Lindsay's were downtown. That's where everyone was. That's great. It's all centralized. And then little by little, these splinters happened. And then you have, which no shade on that, that's fine. But then you have abandoned properties that just sit because that area is not as popular anymore as the newest area. So for instance, in Gainesville on 13th, there's a huge shopping center there where we used to go to the movies when we were teenagers. And now it's like one of just very, it's extremely rundown. I'm not sure why. I'm not a developer and I'm not in the city of Gainesville to say, but it's rundown. And that whole area where when I was a kid, 13th Avenue or 13th Street was the place to be. And I do get concerned with Newberry because we are growing very fast and goodness knows, a lot of people know, I have mixed feelings that, but I do believe everybody should be able to do what they want to do with their own property. I stand by that. However, to have the growth be spread out leaves us open to 20 or 30 years from now having large abandoned sections like they do and it's all over Gainesville. You might not see it because you're on Archer Road. Leave Archer Road and go to 301. Go to Waldo Road. Go to 13th, First Avenue, Second. Like it, some of those places don't even look like you're able to live in any of them. So that's my only concern, and I don't even know how to voice that properly because I know that's a huge, in my mind, it's almost too big to even think about, but that will happen. It will happen, no doubt, because I've seen it happen 13 miles down the road. So to that point, Jordan, like to spread out too much, I think in the long run, promotes like abandoned buildings and neighborhoods that are run down. And then you have other issues with that come along with abandoned properties and neighborhoods going kind of downhill. So that brings a whole nother set of problems. So I think we need to be very careful.
Thank you. One thing I will bring up is something I do in just the business I'm in is I look at somebody else that's done something similar and I try to take their best practices and apply them. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not being a copycat, but it's looking at what they did right and what they did wrong and try to be like, okay, we're going to learn from their mistakes and not make that same mistakes. Not saying that we won't make mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes they made. But one thing that I will go back to Jonesville as an example. Jonesville does a lot of the clustering of the apartments and townhomes right up on Newberry Road, but everything behind it is houses. Like you don't see the Tioga townhomes on 15th. You see the Tioga townhomes right behind the commercial part of Tioga. So the further you get away from commercial, the bigger the houses per se are, or the bigger pieces of land that you live in should be. And I really do. I don't want to say like I want a Tioga and Newberry, but I'm just using them as a key example of like they did it right where you got townhouses right butting into the commercial. You got a little bit bigger homes, and then you got these $1 million homes that are towards the back. There's no townhomes back there. There's no apartments back there. So that's something that they did really well. Similar across the street at Arbor Greens, you see the townhomes up in front, and then everything else is in the back. So I'm all for changing the I guess the amendment from mixed use residential to medium density, but I don't want this to be a free ticket ride or a stamp of, hey, we're cool with townhomes this far out. I think this is a great way to transition to connecting 30th to 15th and 15th onward. But yeah, that whole townhome in this area to me just doesn't jive.
Thank you. That was great, and I appreciate that feedback. So what we're going to do and what we would suggest is if we can, this is the transmittal hearing for the comp plan. And then we're coming back on the 21st with the more specific PD.
Okay.
And I think that this feedback has been great because now we have time to come back on the 21st and take it into consideration when we come back with our PD plan. So if we could have your support today, just for the recommendation for transmittal on the
Right.
comprehensive plan, but this is the kind of discussion that's very helpful for us.
I'm okay with that as a board. The only thing that I will compliment you on, and I loved it, and I think it just needs to stick, is you look like you had a hell of a buffer going around the whole property. Because I will tell you, I've seen those tree lines, and I know those tree lines were there for hurricane purposes, so it doesn't kill, crops and whatnot. But it's also a great way to keep protective native buffering there without having to replant stuff if unnecessary. So that design, even though it's not the legitimate plan, just seeing that buffer with the trees still there was amazing to me. So
Okay, great, thank
I
you.
just like the only thing that I would say was amazing that I saw. So
Thank you very much.
do you need a motion from?
I was going to have one comment.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
please go ahead.
So, a couple things I noticed. I do agree that I like that it's being reduced for quantity of homes. I think that's important. I also want to note that this is directly at the same intersection where Champions Park is. So that is where potential future light will be to handle traffic impact. However, that is a concern for mine because like others have stated here is that, I'm on the Historical Association here and I want to see our downtown thrive. We have some major construction projects coming up over the next couple years that are going to impact 26, which means there's going to be pressure on those other areas. So when you're coming forth, I would like to have some information on how the development plans to, go forward with that and understand that. And maybe there's some planned staggering or so forth. We've already had some delays on obviously Sandia Town Park and there are some commercial and town home uses in that first development phases. I would like to see the demand for it, honestly. There's not really townhomes in this community. This is an agricultural community. It was one of the reasons why we picked it. We like small town. I think that's one of the most important, probably silent items in our comp plan, that is it sticks with the community sense. And what I saw in that proposal looks a lot like Gainesville. And there's something that we say here, whether it's election season or not, don't Gainesville or Newberry. I didn't come from California to California, Newberry. I came here and I started participating because I didn't want the same thing that happened to my little town happen here. This community is amazing, from the volunteers to us getting feedback with developers and working together to make sure that it doesn't divide. I don't want to see a southern Newberry and a northern Newberry develop. There's a lot of amazing things happen here. I do want to say that I do compliment you with the green area in the center with the trees. I did notice that, so I do like that. I am kind of concerned with apartments, and this is not a bad thing to say, but when you have apartment complexes, doesn't matter what town you see, you have increased crime, just period. Point blank. You have more fluctuation and people coming in vacancy and so forth. Same thing with hotels. I used to be a GM of a hotel, so I can tell you that. So those are things that we need when you're planning for safety purposes, because we are a very family-focused community. I think that's also important to note. I don't like tall buildings, as we say. I want to keep it as country as possible. So when you're talking about those multifamily homes or 8 per acre, please consider that, so that the quality of life is as possible as but I do like the reduction in homes because there's going to be a lot going down there on 30th and 41. And with the other construction that's state worked and timelines, we need to be cognizant of people who are having to commute from Trenton through our community and those who are living in the Archer area too. Thanks.
And Chair, just to provide some general guidance to the board,
Yes, ma'am.
when you're considering a future land use map amendment, I know you were getting into a little bit of the details of what's coming next, but the important thing is that you understand what that district, what that category is that's being asked for, and that you're comfortable that that makes sense here. Because once the developer gets that future land use map amendment, then they're going to come and ask for rezoning that's consistent with it. So just something to keep in mind, if you're not comfortable or don't think that future land use category is the proper fit, then this board can deny it. I'm not suggesting you do that. I just want you to know that you need to be comfortable with what it is that you're moving forward.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Ms. Parker?
Yeah. This is hard for me. I am from Gainesville, so born and raised and moved out here to get away from all of that. I was very disappointed in the growth of my home city and the high rises, and just there's no thought or planning in how they build anything. There's no plan for the roads. There's no plan for connectivity. They just throw stuff up and hope for the best, and they throw it up quickly, and it's poorly made, and there's problems, and it's hard. I know that there's a lot of legalities where I have to say yes for things. And I do believe that people should be able to do what they want with their lands. This is a lot of growth in one area that's being talked about. I do agree with my other board members that townhomes and apartments and things like that do belong on the main thoroughfares. I'm not against them. I think we need those as part of our city because we need affordable housing for the families that can't. I've been one of those families where I can't afford to own a home. I need to rent. I'm not a bad family. I have kids. I raised, I've got just a normal family that doesn't make as much money as everybody else. Young families starting, single moms that are just doing their best. Green space is extremely important. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to see the green go away, just like everyone else feels. I feel like the growth is hard to swallow.
I was just going to follow up and say, one of the questions today to follow up on Ms. Shalley's point is looking at what currently is in place on the property, which is the mixed use, which already allows the multifamily and what we're asking to go to. So it's what is in place today, the mixed use, and what would we be going to, which is the medium density. And I apologize, I don't know if I should keep getting up. I just want to make.
No, you're fine.
Okay, I don't want to be overstepping, but really what our question is the mixed use category better here, or is the medium density residential the change, an improvement to the board?
From looking at my board, we had a head nod on the medium density because the mixed use to defend our downtown area, that's critical at this moment. Putting any other commercial anywhere outside of there right now will just go ahead and put the nail in the coffin to downtown Newberry, and I would hate that to happen because we work really hard. We have a lot of small businesses that have invested into that area. And Newberry downtown has a historic value that we want to preserve. So I'm a big advocate for the small businesses in downtown Newberry. The only thing I think that concerned us is that you have a board that we're very blessed and fortunate that we have one member on our board that has generational Newberry blood in her. So we value exactly what she has to say about Newberry. We have a board member that left Gainesville, born and raised. You have one that left California. And I left Miami, and I'm not planning on bringing Miami here. I tell anybody that I meet that came from Miami, you are not allowed to bring Miami up here. The only thing you're allowed to bring is a Cuban coffee, and you don't even have to bring that because you have two sisters that does an exceptional job in Cuban coffee. And that's the only thing from Miami that you're allowed to bring to Newberry. You're not bringing the buildings. You're not bringing that craziness. This is small town, and that's the way we want to keep it. So I will say that medium density, I believe that is the route here because one, we thank you for reducing it down from 3,000 down to 1,250, but also taking into consideration the fact that we're very critical to our downtown partners that have invested in downtown Newberry. So, to Jessica's point, I'm not here to bring Miami to Newberry. God, no. No, well, my family escaped that, and yeah, we plan on leaving that where it's at. So, any other comments, questions?
I just wanted to say that when we are looking at our ordinances and stuff, it really does say that mixed-use developments are along arterials. And that's important. I think that we need to keep them along the arterial roads as they come in.
I don't know.
We'll get more information April 21st, correct?
We will, but this is just to move
Right.
along to move
Right,
it to
but we
meeting.
will
to-
get more.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Well,
Yeah, and I think what we establish here is a good point to the developers to see what we're looking. Right, this is all feedback to take back, and hopefully, what our board loves to see is when a developer takes the feedback that we've given and comes back with exactly what we've asked for. Because then to that point, when you do provide that, it's like, we gave you exactly what you wanted, now we're gonna move forward or not. So, with that, is there any other further comments, and we can entertain?
Chair.
Oh,
I just want to reiterate, because it's been mentioned 2 or 3 times, but I want to make sure everybody's clear. Even when we come back on the 21st, what's coming back on the 21st is not Newberry Ridge, no Newberry Ridge. What's coming back on the 21st is Newberry Ridge they've already got. Newberry Ridge is working with us so that we can update and we can get it to what we want it to be, right? So I don't want anybody leaving here, Newberry Ridge was approved a long, long time ago. What we're talking about at this point is, do we want to rest on what was approved a long, long time ago, or do we want to update that to something that would require us to partner with Newberry Ridge and say, we don't really want what was approved long, long ago. What we want is something new, right? So I've listened to all the comments up here, right? I know the applicant has as well. Just want to make that crystal clear. The question is not Newberry Ridge, no Newberry Ridge. The question is Newberry Ridge from 30 years ago, or do we want something today that is what we want Newberry Ridge to be? So just want to make that perfectly clear.
thank you for the clarification, and I think that's why we all kind of, anybody, any comments from us?
I was just going to make the motion so we can move on.
Well, once we make a motion, then we got to go to public comments on the motion. So, any other questions from us before we entertain a motion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion to move to transmit it to the state from mixed use to, is that correct? Am I reading it correctly?
Stacy, is that exactly what you're needing? Or I'm
Or
sorry,
Lauren?
Laurie.
The transmittal to the state, is that correct?
Yes, we'll recommend to the commission to transmit to the state, yes.
Yes, recommend to transmit to the state from mixed use, which is a higher density, to medium density, up to 8 units per acre. Wanted to clarify that. So this is a reduction in homes from excess of 3,000 to 1,250.
All right, I got a motion from Ms. Carey. Do I have a second? Who was that, Ms. Thomas?
Can I just clarify, we're changing it from mixed use to a medium? So
Right,
we're not
but-
doing the townhomes, okay.
Not, that's
Second.
not, that's just, yeah, that's, all right. We're just transmit, the motion
Right,
is
I was just clarifying, we're not at the townhome part yet. We're
Right.
just talking about houses. Right. We're just talking about houses at this point. So medium density doesn't necessarily designate what that density is. We're making it from the mixed use to medium density. The townhouse question has not been answered. Y'all have given your feedback, but
Correct.
just want to be clear on that as well.
All right, so we have a motion from Ms. Carey, a second from Ms. Thomas. Do we have any questions on the dais on that motion? All right, do we have any public comments on the motion? If you do, please come up to the podium and state your name. I believe it's, 3 minutes?
Yeah, but I can't get this to work.
Okay. Just make sure you press the button that's red on the microphone, Oh, there you go. Nope, you're good.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Wendy DeVito. I live in that proximity of this development. And before we get confused about the 3,000 thing, which is the first time I've heard that number, I know 20 years ago when Newberry Ridge first was approved, it was approved specifically for a 999-unit development because, I assume because it was 1 unit short of the 1,000 unit threshold for the old development of regional impact, and they would have had to jump through a whole lot more hoops to do it. Now that that DRI designation was phased out 10 years or so ago, I hear that they're moving on to all the state level approvals to do it. But as far as I know, it was never approved for that past 999. So maybe 3,000 plus was always the potential within the rules of that level of development, but I don't think it was ever approved for. I think 20 years, a lot could have happened that I missed. So in our perspective, it's going from about 1,000 to 1,250, and part of that being the townhomes, which I'm glad to hear you guys are not in favor of. As someone who lives near there, we'd rather it be more homes than commercial. We don't want the late hours, the lights, the noise, the trucks, the deliveries, the people who hang out behind the buildings, whatever. But single-family homes, and if there's a way to have, the bigger space, the property, so it doesn't end up like these developments you guys are talking about that's got 0 lot lines. Hearing the 8 units per acre just kind of makes me sick to the stomach, knowing how beautiful that land is. We watch the wild turkeys go by, we watch deer every morning, and I hate to see them get lost in that. And I hope in the perimeter the design that you guys are talking about that has trees, you mentioned that those were existing trees being left, and I hope that's the case and not we're going to level everything flat and then plant some little token fluffy trees to check off that we planted 12 trees to offset everything. And yeah, on the apartments and rentals and things, yeah, I agree that it doesn't fit in that area. People that rent generally don't have that invested care for their home or community that homeowners do. And even if you have townhomes that people own, it makes it easier for Airbnb, short-term weekend rentals, and then you really have people that don't care about the community. And you say, somebody mentioned added crime that comes with that, short-term folks. And especially since the fellow from Sandia, I think he's already gone, in making his arguments, he says there's 0 market for townhomes, so they're not talking about in Sandia, so it doesn't make sense to have even more right there in Newberry Ridge. So I had a lot of random notes. I know I'm just, our main concerns are traffic, dark sky lighting, and I hope whatever lighting they put on all those little roads adheres to the Dark Sky Society rules so we can still see the beautiful stars that we enjoy out here, watch the space station go, watch Artemis and all the future things to the moon go by. So that's all I have to say. So that was my main concerns. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Wendy. Appreciate you.
Hi, Don DeVito.
Hey,
I
Don.
also live in the adjoining property that you see on the map there, where that square on the right. Yeah, I just actually, listening to everything, I felt actually pretty good about all the comments from the planning board on this. And I agree with the townhouse aspect of it. I also agree completely with the commercial part of it. So I think you should approve moving it to the medium density from where it is, because not having the commercial, that makes total sense. Just as a resident, I'm confirming that I agree with you. It makes total sense to have the commercial on Main Street
Yes.
and not,
Right.
I mean, I like, but, there's part of me that, well, I could jump my fence and go to Starbucks, but,
I'd rather just take my
I'd rather just take my car to
Yeah,
Three
right.
Sisters and go get some coffee. So, but so not having the commercial is great, not having the townhome aspect of it, but a lot of the comments that I heard also, especially when you were talking about comparing Jonesville, where apartments and those things are right up on the main road with the houses that are a little bigger, then the bigger, it makes total sense to me. And that, I think, trying to have something like that can actually help mitigate some of we have to approve these things from the state. Certain things have to be approved. We can't just say no. But those kinds of suggestions, if you can enforce those kinds of suggestions, or those are the kinds of things that help to mitigate, just like my wife was saying, just having house, 3 feet apart, tree, that kind of thing. So, yeah, but if you can keep going with that, with the idea that maybe we can make it a little more, these developments look a little more like that, with more green space, more, how we were going to put townhouses and that kind of thing, it's really appreciated. So all the talk about this development with the townhouses and apartments, your suggestions are really appreciated. That's what I was kind of hoping to hear.
Well, I appreciate that.
All right,
Don.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Is there any other? Yeah, I mean, I think we all want to defend Newberry and make sure that we continuously, do it the right way. And we do, I do want to express my gratitude to the development team for coming to us and expressing the willingness to sit down and listen. You know, that's huge. So I do appreciate you guys taking our consideration into consideration, hearing it from residents that are right down the street. You know, it means a lot. Newberry is a very special spot, and we want to make sure that it remains that way. So if there's no other comments, again, to manager's point, this is just, we're approving it to move to medium density, you know, to 1250. The town, that's not on the that's not on the motion. It's just so you guys can go to the drawing board and come back on the 21st. So with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous, 4-0. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I think that's going to be my campaign model. I'm not here to make my Newberry, Miami. Like,
You're welcome.
yeah.
It's almost over. You're not starting a new one.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we are going back to quasi judicial. For, if I'm not mistaken, we are on, oh, no, I'm not, no, we're not in quasi judicial. We are on item number 6, which is large scale for Easton Newberry Sports Complex.
Come on now.
Let's see, good evening.
Is this
All right.
technically number 8 then? You lost track? I think we're at number 8.
Okay, so this is a large-scale future land use map amendment for specifically Easton. But this is part of the last couple of months, the move towards making all city-owned properties, including parks, but also including lift stations, any city-owned property, public facilities and land is the future land use classification, and then public facilities is the zoning. And so the recommended motion to the City Commission is to transmit this large-scale amendment to the future land use map from mixed use and recreation to public facilities and land classification on city-owned properties, more specifically Easton Newberry Sports Complex. And so here's on the left, you see the current future land use classifications. Again, it's mixed use and recreation. Part of it's already public facilities. And so the picture on the right is the proposed to make it all of the Easton Newberry Sports Complex public facilities and land. And so that's about it. I think the Planning and Zoning Board, as well as the City Commission, has seen the last couple of months, staff has come before you all to, to move all the city-owned properties, all the parks. We started with the small parks, Freddie Warmack, MLK, Jimmy Durden, and then also the large scale, the Champions, and now Easton, and also every other city-owned property that's not a park.
All right, so from here, you need a motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Oh, okay, second. So I have a motion from Ms. Parker for the record, a second from Ms. Thomas. Do we have any questions or discussions on the motion? The only comment I have is just Paul Boothby, he's not here, but I will, don't want to say I'll speak on his behalf, but I'll make a comment from what he usually says is, he just wants to make sure that, doing this stuff for this, turning it over to the city, doesn't mean like the park's going to turn into something else and it's not going to be recreational anymore. It's not going to be public use anymore. And we've been rest assured, again, that this is not what's happening here. It's just changing the letters of the legislative part of the Parks and Recs. So I just wanted to get that on the record anytime this comes up. I think it's important to, even if the citizen's not here, if that's a valid concern, that it be expressed. So is there any public comments on this item? Yep, yep, please, state your name.
Hi, I'm Christina Lutz. I'm a resident of Avalon Woods, and so our property backs up directly to one of the pieces. I think most of what I have to say maybe correlates to the next piece, so I kind of just wanted some clarification. So according to the public notice that we received, I don't know if we can go back to like the picture, but
I could get
there's like
staff
the
to-
little trapezoid piece. That parcel is only included in the item that's the LDR 2614 and not the one that we're kind of discussing right in this moment.
Correct.
But then I'm further confused now because in the notice that we got, it says that you all are trying to rezone that specific piece as well from public facility or from agriculture and mixed use to public facilities. But according to the map that was just shown, that piece is already public facility and not changing. And so I'm just wondering which one is like true.
So I appreciate, so that's exactly, thank you so much, Christina, because that's exactly what Paul Boothby, the gentleman that's usually here, that's exactly his concerns when he was addressing it. It's like, it's changing this, does this mean this, does this mean that? And I'll have staff come back up and like relay that same message, so
Okay.
you can, because we want you to feel comfortable knowing like, okay, this is remaining parks, even though it's added.
Right, but like the confusion I have is that according to the map that was just shown, only the eastern piece was changing in color from the agricultural to public facilities, whereas in what we received in the mail, the notice that we received, which is why we're here,
Okay.
is that the other piece in question is also supposed to be changing. But according to that map, that piece is already zoned that way.
Yeah, there was parts that were already previous meetings that were discussed and previously zoned.
Okay.
So, but Lauren's gonna come up. She's like dying to come up and answer your question.
Okay.
And you can come up, and if you
Okay.
we can
And I
definitely.
will say welcome to
Yeah.
Newberry, because
Yes.
if you move to Avalon Woods, I
Don't
take you here
worry.
and visit.
We're not changing Newberry in there.
And so you know, this is what you're getting from staff. You can always contact staff even outside of a meeting and address these as well. If you don't feel like your answer was completely to your satisfaction, I highly encourage to contact staff. They are amazing at getting things. So
They will answer.
Yes. So the future land use map and the zoning map often get confused. The second part of this will be zoning. So right after this presentation, I'll do the zoning. But this is also a good example as to why these city-owned properties and parks need to be amended to public facilities. Is it appropriate for part of East End to be mixed use, or you'll see in the zoning it's part of its agricultural, and so to bring it into consistency with our comprehensive plan, making all city-owned properties, including parks, public facilities, and land use. This is just the future land use. So you see that the trapezoid is already public facilities, but the rest of it was not. Yeah. But the next part of the presentation is zoning. Yeah.
Does the board have any other questions?
I wanted to give some rest assurance too, because my house goes back to the fields too, and so like another reason why we moved here. There is a common understanding that public facilities means buildings and industrial that is not this. I asked that 3-4 meetings ago when we first started, because I was like, wait, what's going on? It's an accounting situation where they want to put everything in one field, so it's all the land that is owned by the city is called public facilities. It does not mean that the parks are changing or the course or, the people who have the archery back there. And that, I believe that's the part that's right behind you, because a couple of other of my friends live over there. That was one of my first questions. And that's why this particular item was left for last, because they wanted to make sure that nothing changed. So the name is changing, not the purpose. I hope that gives you some assurance, because I know Naeem is very much about the complex working. I know a lot of us are very supportive of the sports here.
I don't think they want us as a board to be mad at them.
No. So welcome to the neighborhood, because I was one of those new people here. And rest assured that nothing is planned or down the line. I was told specifically by the manager, nothing is planned to change that. It should stay woods. I can't control the quarry because that's county land, because that impacts me too, Newberry Oaks. But that's the worst of our worries right now.
I'll just reiterate on staff's behalf, the only thing that's plan to change is more recreation, so that's what we want. We want more green space, we want more offerings, so. That was it.
All right, so we have a motion, we still have public comments. If anybody has any other public comments on this motion? If you have, please, feel free. Listen, like I tell everybody, if you don't come to a meeting and have these discussions, it's like we're never gonna hear it, so.
Okay.
Is it the mustache?
No, I
Oh,
like
okay.
your mustache. Ann Ezrati, and my husband and I moved to Avalon Woods. And we're on 23rd Lane where we have the beautiful trees in the back. And when I got the notice, the first thing we thought is, because we've seen the trucks that in 2 seconds, they chop away the big tree and they drop the tree and the birds fly around. And that's the first thing we thought of is all the trees are going. And am I hearing you say that that's not what's happening back there? Green space, yay. Are we keeping our green space?
Yes,
back
in
there?
fact, the city plans to add even more green space, not necessarily to there, but across the city with all of our parks expanding and adding more recreation and more green space. So there's not a plan to get rid of that. It really, like she said, it's just an accounting thing so that it's easier to track all of the city-owned properties in one category.
Okay, so we're not getting the big lights that are already at the complex and the megaphones on the weekends, all the way back where we have the trees.
I believe that the parcel that
I-
this young lady was saying was for archery, correct?
No, I'm not prepared to say that there aren't going to be lights for the fields because those are all purpose fields. So if the question is it going to be a building? Is it going to be something other than recreation? The answer to that is no. Now, it could be a basketball court one day. It could be those kinds of recreational offerings. But there are plans to make sure that the all-purpose fields can have lights at night. So it is a parks and recreation facility.
Right.
But that question has no bearing on this question. You can already put all-purpose, or not all-purpose light, but you can already put lights on the fields where it is, how it is right now. So that if this question is more specific to will those fields be lit at some point in time, yes, they could be. But we also have dark sky lighting, so that the lights will point down there. Now we're getting the ones where that you can turn them off and on with an app. So
Right. I'm not near fields, though. I'm near trees.
The concern
want
is,
to know
I
if
believe the trees where they do
are
the
going to be cut down to
laser
put
tag.
a field.
those trees are actually pines, and they are meant to be cut eventually, but they'll be recut. We don't, part of that field we own and part of that field we do not, and I'm not sure exactly where that border is. But that's land that Swanee River Management has given us permission to have some light recreational things, but you cannot build there. But at some point in time, those trees will come down because that's the purpose of those. But it's up to the Swanee River. They may come back with other ones. But that is Swanee River land, and it can't be built on.
Everyone's
Yeah, they do.
comfortable with-
Right. We can do the laser tag. We can have the archery trails, right? You can have all of those kinds of things in there.
Are
But
you comfortable? My neighbor? Yes, we're all.
yeah.
You're comfortable? Everyone's okay? Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you. I love Newberry, though. We do.
Well, we love that you're here. Thank you.
Love it.
Christian Cuellar, I'm their neighbor.
Hey, Christian.
Ann and Mike. I come from California as well, and I lived 13 years in San Diego. Left because of the development. Tried Arizona. There was just overdevelopment there as well. And yeah, just too flat for me and the family. So we came here to, reestablish roots. And we initially rented in Gainesville, right in the Blues Creek area. Fell in love with the green space, the buffer, not really seeing the roads and everything that was kind of part of a city in our little space. That's kind of one thing that attracted us to Avalon Woods. And I think with my neighbors and other, Avalon Woods residents, that area is almost like a showpiece for not just the community, but also the beautiful water tower. It's a buffer, just like we discussed. And my research with the pines is that they're essentially slash pines. They're help break up the wind. They are a buffer, just like we mentioned. It's also a natural environment for like the birds, the deer, the squirrels, and everything else that comes with them. We actually enjoy the Eastern Sports Complex, and I think our main concern is it going to come up right up against our fence? Is it really going to just get flattened? You know, is this going to be Phoenix Valley again for me? Or is it really going to maintain that identity that we've have with, you know, Florida, with this part of Florida? You know, I hear board members from Miami. I don't want to go to Miami. I feel like San Diego is Miami. I'm good, you know. What's over there? St. Augustine Beach and all that. That's kind of as far as I go. So I think that we're just trying to preserve kind of that oasis that is around our community. We enjoy being able to walk down to the park, but we also like that buffer. So my inquiry that lingers is, what is the plans in there? At what point are we going to get more details? What protections do we have for that area? I've heard in the previous meeting before this LDR or this area kind of needed more time to get approved by the state, that only a certain percentage can be developed when it becomes a public facility. But this specific law is kind of an exception to it. And that's kind of where we want to come back, get more information, because where's that protection? I understand it's not platted, but I don't feel that we're the only ones that knew that this was just something that would eventually go away. And I think that's what brings us here, to be involved as homeowners, as, you know, the people that pay the taxes here. We want to kind of keep it a certain way, but still, we're not anti-development. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Did you want to?
Yeah, I'll say it again. Where the trees are is Swanee River land. You can't build anything on there. Okay.
Take down the trees, but they can't.
They can take down the trees. Whether they replant the trees, that's not up to us. That's up to them. The park itself, where the all-purpose fields exist right now, there are no other plans except for those to be all-purpose fields. Now, I can't speak to what happens 50 years from now when we need another gym, when we need more pickleball, or, you know, whatever sport comes up. But where the trees are now, you will see what you see now, right? But you cannot build anything impervious on Swanee River land.
So the point of so you understand, when it comes to planted pine, you're absolutely correct. You know, planted pine it serves its purposes, but at the same token, planted pine also serves its purpose of, once it reaches a certain point, it has to be taken, and they'll probably replant. If I know them, they will replant it. The good news, the positive on this that I really want to just emphasize here is, you know, you hear these rumors on the forums like, oh, Walmart's coming, or all this is coming. You guys are in a really great spot. That worst case scenario, you're going to have cheering kids at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday because they hit a home run, and you might find a baseball in your backyard, you know, like, but I doubt that's going to happen. But I'm just saying, like, you're going to hear that versus backing up trucks at 3 a.m. because they're loading up a loading dock. You guys are in a really great spot for being in a subdivision where this is being dedicated to parks and to protect and preserve something that we hold true. Is like, we really love our parks departments, and we love the green space in the parks department. So hearing it from the manager, the Suwannee River has control of the pines. We have control of the Parks and Rec stuff. It's going to maintain Parks and Recs. I mean, to me, to have a subdivision that has a parks department right behind me, it's actually like a huge plus. You know, it's like, you know, nothing else is coming there. It's just going to be parks. You know, it's going to be a safe space for families. So I'm just trying to like look at the positive on that. Versus there's going to be more houses behind you or a distribution center right behind you, which he would probably be singing a different song if that was the case. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. And welcome to Newberry, buddy. Yeah, so Avalon Woods, guys, welcome. And, we're glad that you chose Newberry to be your home and put your roots down. And, thank you for being here. Enjoy the festivities.
Palm Beach. We were close to
All right, see?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing I want to bring from South Florida is my Cuban coffee. That's it. That is it. All right. So we have a motion. Do we have any other comments on that motion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimous. We are moving on to. Are we going to quasi judicial? We're going back to quasi judicial. So we're at quasi judicial again. Nobody new entered the room. Multiple people have left, but nobody new. So we don't have to repeat the presentation order. So staff, whenever you're ready.
All right, and so this is the companion application or petition for the rezoning of the same parcels to public facilities. The recommended motion to the City Commission is rezoning from agricultural and mixed use to public facilities on these city-owned properties. It's Easton Newberry Sports Complex. And so perhaps this map looks more familiar where you see the two larger areas are agriculturally zoned right now, and the two smaller like triangular areas are mixed use. And so that's the map on the left. That's the current zoning districts, and the proposed zoning districts, of course, on the right are all public facilities.
All right. You guys are the applicant. You guys are the applicant. Do you guys wish to do another presentation as the applicant other than staff? All right. So with that, we'll have more public comments. If you guys wish to state your piece on a quasi judicial format, you're more than welcome to as well.
Christina Lutz again. Okay, so I understand what you guys are saying about how it's park. However, that particular quadrant, that trapezoid piece, is also conservation land. So I understand what you're saying of that it's owned by Swanee River District. However, it is preserved land. So yes, there's no buildings that can go there, but according to Florida statutes, there also can be a lot of other things that are not allowed, which are removal of trees, dumping or placing of soil or other substance or material, excavation, dredging, removal of loam, peat, gravel, soil, rock, or other material substance in such manner as to affect the surface uses except for purposes that permit the land or water area to remain predominantly in its natural condition. Activities detrimental to drainage, flood control, water conservation, erosion control, soil conservation, or fish and wildlife habitat preservation. Acts or uses detrimental to such retention of land or water areas. Acts or uses detrimental to the preservation of the structural integrity of physical appearance of sites or properties of historical, architectural, archaeological, or cultural significance. So kind of with that being said, what would the benefits be to changing it from agricultural to the parks, public facilities, if literally nothing can go there? Because then you can't remove the trees. You can't repave it to put a field there. So kind of what would the benefit be in this rezoning specifically?
All right. I appreciate that. And a quasi judicial is you're technically, since we're like a legal board at this point, I'm kind of like breaking protocol. So Madam Attorney, please don't kill me here. So in quasi judicial, you can ask questions or comments, but as far as answering, I wrote down your questions. It'll get addressed by staff when we do the cross-examination at that point. So it's not like.
Sure, that's fine.
So that's why I'm kind of breaking procedure to try to help
That's
you
fine.
understand a little bit of how
Yeah.
this part works. So, because we do turn into a legislative, a judicial board at this point versus a legislative board.
Okay.
So, if there's any other question or comment, you can ask, and I will, try to see if we can get them addressed.
Okay, yeah, that was, I mean, the main thing is just to kind of bring awareness to the fact that it's conservation land, because based on the things that you all were saying, it contradicts the Florida statute exactly. And so, like, I just wanted to kind of make sure that that was put out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Christina. Does anybody else have any other public comment or want to address anything? That way we can see if staff or the applicant can address any concerns. Yes, sir.
Hi, Parker Schilling, Christina's husband. I don't know if that counts for two of us.
You're good. You're on your own.
Also from California, so I liked how there's a lot of Californians here. So, my main concern is that when we purchased this land in Avalon Woods, it was brought to the attention that it would not be built upon, it would not be changed because, and things like that. So my concern is actually contradictory to what you were saying. Is like, oh, there might be lights, there might be things happening in parks. Well, I would prefer it to just stay the way it is of a natural land rather than to have cheering people on weekends and stuff like that, or laser tag and archery at night where, there's going to be bright lights in the distance and things like that. So for me, my main addressing is we were told that it was not going to be built upon by the realtors and the companies that were selling both homes, D.R. Horton and Miranda. So my concern is just, why are we changing anything? Because in my mind, give an inch, you're going to take a mile of rezoning it to a different land piece or something like that. So I don't see the necessary need if it's just something, a color on the map. So I just would comment that I'm not in favor of anything changing, even though it may or may not be able to regardless. But that's just my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Parker. Appreciate it. Anybody else have comment, questions?
Come on.
All right. If there's no other questions at this point, the applicant's obviously not gonna cross-examine themselves because you guys are the applicant and staff. So members of the decision-making body through the chair may ask questions of the staff and the applicant, which happens to be the same person on this one. So yes, staff, I would like to ask a question that our citizens brought up. Can we go through what would the benefits be? The fact that it's conservation land, is it contradicting any of the statutes? And what's the need to change it? I mean, since those seem to be coming up, I would like.
But before we even answer that question, I just want to make sure we're all talking about the same land. The land that's on the table
Can we put it up on the map?
Is the land that Newberry owns. The question about where the trees are is not the land that Newberry owns. So I was answering the question about where the trees are. That's Swanee River land. We have an easement to go on there. The zoning is our land.
And there's no trees on that land.
Right. Okay. So I just want to make sure, and if that's not exactly, because all night tonight has been very precise, correct? So before we even go on to what are the benefits, let's just make sure we're all on the same page about what we're talking about and what's happening on each quadrant. Can you do that for us, Lauren? And they'll get the map up there.
Okay. So a couple things. There isn't any conservation designation, whether it's a future land use or zoning, on the areas that were outlined, the city-owned properties. Maybe in the adjacent that's owned by the Water Management District.
So what part, can you describe that to us on the map here? What is Suwannee River compared to what is?
Yeah.
Because I think that's where the confusion is laying.
Yeah, so the 4 parcels that are outlined in that darker outline, those are the city-owned properties, the subject properties that we're discussing.
3 and 4?
Yes, yes. I think maybe we're talking about the area to the east of that as being owned by.
It's the one straight in the middle,
right there. That's where the trees are.
That's
That's our house.
That's where the trees are.
Yeah, this is on the conservation.
Hang on, folks, we have to have just a little bit of decorum, sorry, just a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. But that's why we ask this question, so we all get on the same page about what are we talking about?
That top quadrant.
So right here, this giant quadrant right here.
Okay.
Is there any pines? Is there anything on that?
Yes.
Yeah, part of it. I don't know if we have an aerial I could try to pull up.
We need like a Google Earth. I believe, and I know y'all live there, right? This is Easton. These
Yep.
are the all-purpose fields. By the time you get here, you're getting into the water tower, and there are trees that are around here.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So there's all-purpose fields right here. This is fairly
There's
open, then
soccer
you get
fields.
trees, then you get the water tower, then you go back in this way, and we have wells. Yeah, so. That roughly everybody without having an aerial, right? Yeah.
That's not.
So that's 23rd Ave.
I'm seeing Easton as a quadrant here. Yeah.
You can't see that.
And
That's all trees.
this is all, okay, so the water tower is in this quadrant right
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right in there.
here. Yes.
And then behind it is all trees.
Everything you described is in that.
So in the larger quadrant, that's where our wells are, and so we won't be putting anything by the wells. We can't put anything by the wells. And that's the part, when I said we have an easement to be there, right? That's where we have an easement to be there for the water towers and the wells. No structures can be there. I'm not on. Does that make sense? Well, fields are pervious, so you could have a field there, but we wouldn't put a field by our water because that's our drinking water. Just, again, trying to be as precise as possible, right?
Thank you for answering. I take it. Now, I will want to circle back to the conversation with staff. Staff is very open to have these conversations. I would highly encourage to get one of their cards, get their email, and say, hey, can I set an appointment with you on this date? Yeah, and to discuss things. Yes, they do answer the phone. Yes, they do call, and they'll talk to you. But I think the best route would be is like, if this is like something that you feel like, hey, I want to like really get down to make sure I'm understanding this more than the meeting, send an email, see if you can schedule an appointment. Our staff is great at saying, hey, can you come tomorrow at 4:00 in the afternoon? We can meet for half an hour and hash out, any questions you may have. So I would, encourage that aspect of it. But to the plant's point and whatnot, as far as pines are concerned, pines are very sensitive too, so they will get knocked down. All it takes is a nice gust of wind on the right day, and it will knock one down, knock two down. And if they end up, but I'm pretty confident that, replanting pine is something that's been happening for years in Newberry. No one just knocks down pine and says, forget about it. They usually try to replant them. So, all right. So with that, do we have any questions for staff other than the questions that I brought up to get clarification on the conservation, to ensure that, nothing is gonna, like, no building is gonna be built there. And also finding out that our well is there. So that's another enhancement of, you could rest assured that we're not gonna try to be fertilizing somewhere where our well is being directly impacted, so. No? Okay. So with that being said, members of the decision-making body
It's not the question. Sorry. Because of the kerfuffle that happened with not being on the same page of what the area was, I don't think your question originally got answered. What would the benefit be of?
Oh, yeah, okay, so what's the benefit of moving it, staff?
I was so excited to answer that question.
Yeah, I know, we went on this, sorry, I'm sorry, thank you for bringing that up.
Well, I'll reiterate what I. Yes, that's the primary thing is that the future land use and the zoning need to be consistent, first of all. And it was also a city initiative, I think a few years ago, when there was a public facilities newer zoning district that was created to make all the city-owned properties, including parks, public facilities at the time. And it just took time to rewrite the code, and now the city is getting around to meeting those needs, or meeting the requirements, or the direction of the city.
Thank you. So that's behind the need of changing it, is to be consistent with the
Yes,
code.
between the future land use and the zoning.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I'm looking at my board to see if they have any questions while I'm writing stuff down.
I believe this is the last property of all of the city parks, is that correct?
No, you've got a few city parks.
Yes, I'm only asking about the city parks. No, ma'am, I'm not asking for any other trouble tonight. Just asking. I remember that we started 3 meetings ago, so I just wanted a clarification. There's no more city parks.
We still have Champions Park South, right?
No, they're Champions, we've already
Park
done.
is Champions Park South.
It was all part of the.
Oh, I thought we had to split it
yeah.
up. Okay.
When this property was originally purchased by the city, and I do not remember the date right now, it was brought in and the land use was immediately changed to the PF. We didn't get around to the zoning because we didn't have a zoning district yet designed for the PF. So we held off on that and a few others, which is why we're doing it all now at one time. And we've now are at our going on our third meeting with you all for the PF. So now that we have the zoning district design, now we're changing it and making everything compatible with the land use.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. All right. With that, if there's no more comments, we can go into deliberation, or you can entertain a motion. I'm not making any motions tonight, so you know, because I'm chairing.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so I got a motion.
Second.
I got a motion from Ms. Parker and a second from Ms. Carey. Is there any question or any comments on the motion? Is there any public comments on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0 and unanimous. All right, and we are moving from quasi judicial back to legislative to hear about CPA 2612. Is that correct? All right, we're getting there.
Okay. So yes, we're through with the parks, and next are all other city properties, but these aren't all other city properties. I think this is about half. And so it is a small scale future land use amendment because it doesn't surpass that 50-acre threshold, even altogether. And so the recommended motion to the City Commission is to approve the small scale future land use amendment. And it's from a lot of different future land use classifications because it's sprinkled all throughout the city, you'll see. Agriculture, planned development, commercial, industrial, residential low density, and then all to public facilities and land classification on these city-owned properties. And so here's a larger map. There are parcel numbers in text boxes as callouts, but I'll zoom into, I've got like 3 slides here with different pictures. So let's see, the first square is the northwest area, and this is stormwater, I think, hold on, stormwater area. Let's see, the next is a lift station that's out by Highland Park. The next is UF IFAS property, but then also, or building, or property, also the lift station that's east of that. It's a little harder to see, but it's right off of that, that right-of-way. And then this is, I think, also a lift station. I want to say this is in Tanglewood, I think, maybe. And so that was 4 properties, or actually it was 5 properties. Then there's also, let's see, this is actually the new Central Park, Dog Park. And the next one is the fire station, another lift station, the Lois Forte Park area. Those are, all of the city-owned properties are outlined in that darker outline. And then next we have the city annex buildings, the Little Red Schoolhouse. Let's see. This is just a city-owned property. I don't think there's a lift station or anything on there right now. It's off of 2nd Avenue and Seaboard. And, oh, no, I'm sorry, this is the lift station at Tanglewood. And then finally, another lift station around Champions. And so all of these properties are city-owned properties. Most of them are lift stations or other city buildings. And they're all different future land use classifications and should be made consistently public facilities or city-owned properties.
Just tapped it. Sorry, I tapped the microphone.
So again, just a small scale because it doesn't surpass the 50-acre threshold, doesn't have to be sent to the state. Future land use map amendment to public facilities and land on all of those outlined city properties.
Thank you. All right, do we have any discussion on this item, board? All right, if not, I can entertain a motion, and I can go to public comments on the motion. I will
Just because it's a large amount of items, can you designate for the public watching at home, because I know it's really late right now, what a lift station is for those who are not in the city terms of what it provides? The lift, you mentioned lift station 4 times in this very long list of things. Can you describe what that is for the people at home?
I'll take that for you. A lift station is what you use in a sewer system to help move the product along.
Thank you for explaining that so that they understand that these are core, fundamentally needed items that need to be under the accounting code of public facilities.
Yes, the history of civilization is 1,000% our ability to handle our sewage without causing mass pandemics.
So with that, I will entertain.
I just had to bring some white.
I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Parker,
Second.
second from Ms. Carey. All right, do we have any questions on it or comments on the motion? Public comments or questions on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. We are back into quasi judicial, I believe for the same item, so this should move pretty quickly.
Hopefully. Oh, there we go.
All right, you're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Stacy, you trained her well.
Okay, so this is the companion rezoning for the city-owned properties. And you'll see there are many different zoning districts, because as Stacy had mentioned, I think it was a few years ago that the city of Newberry created the public facilities zoning district. And now staff is getting ready to change all of the city-owned properties to that zoning district. So the recommended motion to the City Commission is to approve an ordinance amending zoning districts from agricultural, industrial, light and warehousing, planned residential development, commercial intensive, commercial central business district, residential single-family RSF2, and planned development, all to public facilities zoning on these same city-owned properties. And so this is the zoning map actually up here instead of the future land use map, and the same properties. So stormwater areas, lift station by Highland Park, IFAS and another lift station on the east of that, another lift station, and let's see, that was, what was that? That was, the dog park, that's right. Central Bark Dog Park.
Oh, you gave away the name.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, it's fine. Somebody guessed it.
We all figured it out. It was
No, somebody guessed it.
I said Central Park.
Yes, yes, yes.
Everybody calm down.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Thomas. Thank you. Thank you.
You're sorry. Okay.
It's late. It's late.
Okay, okay, all right.
He's hearing things.
Central Park, dog park. The fire station, another lift station, Lois Forte Park area. And let's see, there's the city annex buildings, Little Red Schoolhouse. This area's off of Second Avenue and Seaboard. Another lift station by Tanglewood, and another lift station out by Champions. And that's it.
All right. So since you are the applicant on this one as well, you already gave us your presentation. Public comments on this item? All right. Hearing none. No cross-examination. Members of the decision-making body to the chair, we can ask questions. We have any questions? All right. If no questions, final arguments, and we can deliberate and entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the recommendation by city staff.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Carey, a second from Melina Parker. Is there any comments on or questions on the motion? Any public comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous, 4-0. Agenda items, we have none. We are out of quasi judicial, sorry. Agenda items, we have none. With that being said, topics for members' discussion. I will start with Ms. Parker.
Starting at the end. It's been a little while, so there's been a lot happening. I want to say first, thank you to everyone for the Reignite the Light event, for coming out, for supporting, for the businesses that sponsored. It was a wonderful evening, and I can't say thank you enough. It meant a lot to me. That's been a personal building and project that we've talked about for many years now. So to see it come around and actually happen was pretty amazing for me. I want to give a reminder that the Spring Festival and the 250th reenactment and all of that is happening with Main Street this weekend on Saturday from 10 to 4. So come out. It's right here in the municipal parking lot. You really can't miss it. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have live music, vendors, the reenactment with Tim that he's been working on really hard. So I encourage everyone to come out. You can even come out for just a couple hours and check it out.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Well, the Watermelon Festival is on its way. That's next. What's next for me? It's May 16th.
Yay.
So I hope everybody can come on and enjoy some good old Florida Newberry watermelon at Countryway Town Square. And what else are we doing? Any business, local, otherwise, developers, any developers, new people that are with developers that would like to sponsor the Watermelon Festival. We're the oldest continual festival in the United States, 81 years. And we, most of our funds that we raise go right back into our schools for our students and in community events. So we appreciate any support that we can get. Just contact me and I will get you to your sponsorship level you want to be.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Ms. Carey?
I want to also piggyback on Melina. It was an amazing Ignite the Light event. I want to personally thank all of the donations that we received for the silent auction. The silent auction alone raised almost $3,000, and I think the whole event was close to $30,000 that we raised, on top of the amazing grants that we've already received to bring back life to that building and literally turn on the light. I know the future plans for that area are going to be amazing, and I look forward to building many memories with our community in our local historical district. On a side note, we will have a booth for the Historical Association this coming weekend, so please stop by, say hi. We will be start taking membership as well. That's the plan. Cross fingers. We want to grow our community, but keeping the amazing culture like the Watermelon Festival. I mean, the fact that it's been 81 years. I actually met one of the farmers who supplies, I believe it was 20 crates, he tells me, of watermelon that he donates after farming it all year. Just amazing. His family has been doing it for a very long time. It says so much about what's great about Newberry. So whether you've just moved here this year, 10 years ago, or your generations, that's one of the best things. We have some of the best events that people come from all over northern Florida for. So very excited about that. And then last but not least, I do want to put a little thing out that the carnival is happening for the PTO at Newberry Elementary School this Friday. They do need volunteers. So if you have teenagers that need volunteer hours, that's a great opportunity to do that. Please contact either myself, I'm happy to put you in touch with Michelle or Joy Lee, who are the presidents of the organization, or come out with your family. It's a really great way for entertainment here locally at our historical, and it helps the kids. It's good, clean fun. Where else can you get, sugared up and free toys and stuff for $10? So really great opportunity there. Hope to see you there.
And Amazon Wings will be there.
Oh,
just
yes.
saying.
I cannot. There's going to be Amazon Wings, which everyone knows he lives up to the name. It is amazing.
Thank you so much. Before I go on, I didn't ask, but I guess I can. Is there any public comments? No? Okay. So with that, unfortunately, but fortunately, this is technically my last planning and zoning meeting. I've had the privilege and honor of serving this great community for the last 8 years. The commission has appointed me quite a few times to redo this again and again. It's a little bit of a bittersweet moment, and I'm hoping that I've served Newberry well enough for the past 8 years and on this board that I can earn your vote to move to the next step to be your next city commissioner. Like I said before, I'm not looking to bring Miami to Newberry. I'm not looking for any kind of special recognition or to feel important. My goal as a commissioner is to continue to move the path that Newberry's at, to bring some more energy to the dais. I wear Newberry on my sleeves very proudly. I love our town. I love the roots that we've developed here. I love the history that we have here, and I want to continuously preserve that. So as your next city commissioner, I would hope I can earn your vote on April 14th, Tuesday, not tomorrow, next Tuesday from 7 to 7 at the municipal building. Please show up and vote. And would love for you to, even if you don't want to vote for me, just show up to vote. We would love to hear exactly what the residents have to say, and that's the best way to be heard. So, and, it would be really nice if you did vote for that guy with a really cool mustache. But no, I really do appreciate I really want to thank my board for putting up with me for all this time. Thank you for the honor of serving our citizens and our community the way I have. And I just, I pray that I'm able to serve on a greater capacity. So, thank you. Anything else?
Piggyback on that. Thanks for being our chair for all this and showing us the way for us newbies. We got some big shoes to fill.
Am I allowed to steal the mic back? I wanted to also send a shout out. See, there's so many things happen, I forget. Thank you to everyone that came out to the candidate meet and greet on Saturday. There was a lot of engagement, which was super exciting. We had a good turnout, which the first one wasn't so great, but this one was a lot better. A lot of conversations, a lot of people came by, and it's great to see engagement. I don't think we're engaged enough in this town. So seeing people actually come out and get a chance to talk, pay attention to those. You want to meet these people face to face and have a real conversation. That's where you go to do it. I'm sure you can find them too, but that's a really good opportunity to do so. And I hope that engagement continues when we vote on the 14th.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair, I just want to also invite people to a soft opening as to the dog park that no one yet knows the name of on Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's the soft opening because we're going to have a big bash opening later on. We'll do a pet adoption and all kind of stuff. But we wanted to go ahead and make sure that facility was open to the public because we have a lot of people with dogs and they're ready to let them play. So, and I also wanted to say thank you to Naeem for years of service on the P&Z. This is often a thankless job and you've done it well. So we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that, guys, and yeah.
Could have baked you something if I wasn't in wedding land and.
He can take it later.
Yeah, I'll go later. You can give it to him when he gets back.
We'll celebrate on the 14th, or thank you, after the Watermelon Festival. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. With that being said, this meeting's adjourned.